Hello, everybody. Wonderful to be back again with another amazing connection with Jessie. Gosh, Jessie, I think we're number 10 today, aren't we, Mornay?
Yes,
Wow.
we are.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a power number.
Yeah.
So, welcome to our 10th connection. It's really awesome to be back with you guys. And again, as always, thank you so much for your feedback, your comments, everything. So if you can give us a subscribe, a like, and a share, it'll be much appreciated. Thank you. As we continue to delve deeper and just find fascinating and amazing things that have been hidden and really hidden in broad daylight, actually. Just, I think it's more us learning how to open our eyes and see things from a different perspective and just really get a more clear perspective, because in that way we really can make a difference, and we do make a difference. So, hello Jessie, hello Mornay, welcome.
Hello everybody. Hello ladies.
Mornay, the viewers are wanting to hear more from you, so I think you should become more vocal as well. I clearly like you.
I wanted to actually tell everybody that I do speak, but I speak off camera, and I speak and I further things. So you don't hear me, but yeah, the lady speaketh for me. The lady speaketh for me. But yes,
Yeah,
I'll speak more.
We all know your job is probably the most important here, because as much as what we can sit here jabbering away, if it's not recorded, if it's not put into beautiful little videos, it's pointless, really.
And nurturing the information as well, you know. I have to nurture the information, research it.
And I say to him, Mona, edit. And before it goes on, he says, I say, have you edited? He goes, I go, good. So yeah, that's okay, wonderful. Jessie, today I would like to discuss bloodlines with you. There's so much bearing information that we discovering on the bloodlines. Some people are saying, you know, especially with the royal family, the monarchs, the presidents, the American presidents, and all of these, they've all pretty much had Rh negative blood, which is Rh negative blood, but supposedly more powerful in terms of connecting to certain demons or spirits or stuff like that. As well as I'd love to know more about the dragon bloodlines. I've heard a little bit about that, enough to keep me curious. And I do think it's an important topic for us to look at, because clearly there's something about the bloodlines. I'm just not quite sure what. So if you wouldn't mind giving us some info on that today.
Yeah, so, well, let's start with the bloodlines in general. You know, we have to go all the way back in scripture, and you know, we'll have fun. We'll dive into a little Illuminati theology today. But you go all the way back to, in their world, it goes all the way back to the seed of Cain. And so by that, you know, we all know the biblical story that Adam and Eve had two sons, and their son Abel, you know, offered sacrifices that were acceptable to God, but Cain did not. And to the point where the Lord said, you know, Cain, you know, your offering is not acceptable to me. And, you know, you have the choice to, you know, change that up. He knew what the Lord expected of him. And still, instead of, you know, changing his heart and doing what was right in God's eyes, he ended up, out of anger and jealousy, murdering his brother Abel. So from there, Cain was driven out of the land, out of that area, and into the land that became the land of the Hivites and the Canaanites. So those were some of the descendants of Cain. And what scripture tells us about those individuals is that, you know, they really lived sheer wickedness. They had no respect for life. They were very much into the witchcraft, divination, any form of black magic. Kind of the roots of it come from that culture where, they were purposely entangling themselves with the demonic spirits. And that's an important word to pull out in scripture. Scripture talks about this intimacy that God created in the very beginning. And scripture uses the word know. And, it means that you intimately know, but beyond just a mental knowing, you have this experience with somebody else. So God was somebody who, he made Adam and Eve to intimately know him and to, experience him and to have this relationship. And he told them, do not eat. You can eat from every tree in the garden, but don't eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And so what happened with that, was when Adam and Eve ate from that tree, it wasn't just simply that they, all of a sudden knew about all the possibilities of evil that there were. That word knowing literally implies that at the core of their being, they entangled themselves with that evil through experience. So that's important. It wasn't just that they knew about it. They knew about it because they experienced and participated in it. So this was where you now come with these Hivites and Canaanites. They were very experienced in this evil, engaged with it to the point that, scripture talks about they were sacrificing their children on the fire. They were cannibalizing. They had Asherah and Baal poles set up where, they were basically doing prostitution at these sacrifices. Things that we're aware of that go on in the occult, the sex magic, things like that. And they were engaging in these things with demonic evil spirits. So that really is where, the 12, you later on have God calls Abraham, who is the father of the Israelites, out of that land. And the Lord says, I'm going to make you a great nation. I'm going to give you I'm going to give you land. And God wanted him to redeem the land, to make it holy, to live right in the world, and to separate himself from the evil practices of what all these other people were doing. And, so we know that God fulfilled his promise. Abraham had a child in his old age. That child, Isaac, became the father of the 12 tribes of Israel. Well, Abraham also had another child, before Isaac, and that was Ishmael. And that was with his wife Sarah's servant Hagar. And there was a separation there because, it tells us because of Sarah's jealousy that Hagar and Ishmael were driven away from Abraham. So, as we're looking now present day, you've got, the 12 sons of Israel, and those form the 13 bloodlines. And you're like, well, there's only 12 sons. How did we get to the number 13? We had Jacob's son Joseph was separated from him in his brothers basically sold him into slavery in Egypt. And while he was there, he had 2 sons. So when God years later, through a famine, he reunited the entire family, and Joseph, we're told, was sent to Egypt to really prepare the way for this famine so that nations could be saved. He was sold as a slave, and yet his one spiritual gift was interpreting dreams. And so, years later, Pharaoh has this dream about, these skinny cows, and he was terrified as he watched these skinny cows eat up the fat cows. And so, he called all his magicians, his advisors, his seers, and not a single one of them could tell him what the dream meant. And one of them had heard of Joseph, and so they brought Joseph out of prison, and he was able to interpret the dream and said, Pharaoh, God is telling you that there's 7 years of plenty, that are about to come, but those 7 years are going to be eaten up by 7 years of devastation and plague and famine. And Pharaoh said, what should I do about it? And Joseph said, you should build storehouses and store up during the time of the plenty. So we're told that Pharaoh put Joseph as the second in command over all of Egypt. And that was his main job, was to get ready to store up all, this food during the time of plenty. I personally believe that this is where the pyramids came from. If a lot of people will talk about them as, tombs or burial grounds, but if you look at them, they're basically built like silos, and what they call the air shafts that come in and go down into it could very easily be used as means to put grain into those buildings. And we're told that all the surrounding nations, when that famine hit, they all came to Egypt for food. So there's nothing else that we see in Egypt that could hold that mass amount of grain besides those pyramids. So that's my theory. I believe that Joseph is the one who had those built, and for that reason. So Joseph had 2 sons. So when they were reunited, both of his sons got a portion or an inheritance. So therefore, at that point, the sons of Israel went from the number 12 to 13. So that's where you get the 13 bloodlines. You get the 14th bloodline that's hidden. That was the line of Ishmael. So, that's kind of the beginning of the story. However, as the sons of Israel came out of Egypt and into this new land, the Lord brought them into the land of Canaan again and told them to conquer it, to destroy all the people that were there and to separate themselves. But as scripture tells us, they did not obey God. They did not destroy everyone. And in fact, a lot of the men took the Canaanite or Hivite women as wives, and those women continued the practices of their ancient culture and drew the men into those practices as well. So you have this history where they continued, in that evil instead of choosing to walk in God's ways. And so each of the bloodlines stem from those lines of Israel or Ishmael. And so where you get the dragon family name is, centuries later, like, probably around the 12th to the 16th century, you started to have individuals, these Hivite Jews were already engaged in eating flesh and drinking blood and all sorts of evil things. During that century, in the different areas like France and, some of the Russian areas, it kind of, you started to develop these select groups who started to define themselves as what we would call the Victorian vampires, or you had Vlad the Impaler, so he was called Dracula. They called him that, because of the dragon. They called it the dragon blood. So that's where they started to distinguish that there were these individuals who came from certain bloodlines that were involved in this wickedness. And the closest thing they could come to describe the evil because these people would come in and utterly destroy villages, was to call them dragons. And they got that name because of the mythical creature, the dragon, and that's what the dragons were doing at that time, was coming in and destroying utter villages. So I'll just say they partly got the name from that. They also got it from Vlad the Impaler being called Dracula. So they started calling his bloodline the Draconian bloodline. And from there, it kind of morphed to Draconian or Dracos to, the dragon bloodline. Well, these people who were this organized religious system of, this ancient order of killing and murder, they ended up, I'm trying to think where to go from here, really, continuing that evil and making it more organized. And so they decided to organize it by regions and quadrants. And so because, the dragon name was so feared, these different family lines, as they got set up in regions, they called themselves, by a certain color, and then added the dragon to it. So they became the white dragons for the north. Actually, the north was the white or green dragons. The south became the black or the red dragons. You had the west that was the blue dragon, and the east that were the gold dragons. Okay. So it didn't matter, like, if you're looking straight at the US or globally, this was how they distinguished those family lines. And, so I don't know all of them, which dragon line every family falls into, but, the big one that I can speak to is the Rothschilds. Jacob Rothschild literally was called the Blue Dragon. Now, it broke down further by regions because they wanted to maintain that power and control. So, probably starting in the 1900s, but mid 1900s, you had the arisal of the KKK. And those regent leaders were also called dragons. So you had, the Grand High Dragon was the one who is, over the region. Then you'd have the High Dragon who was over the state. And then you had the dragons who, each dragon kind of saw, whether it was like a county or a region within that state. So that's how they broke it up. The wives of the KKK dragons were often called queens. So a lot of that started causing confusion for people because they then thought that that all these people were bloodline, that they were all connected, as those dragons in their state would say, I'm under the white dragon. They thought that all those people were involved in that bloodline, and that might not be the case at all. It just meant that that was their region or quadrant leader. So there's a lot of confusion around that. So that's been coming out a lot now, where people are hearing those terms. They're just taking the words and putting it together and saying, hey, there's all this, dragon reptilian blood. Okay, it all goes to bloodlines, but it really doesn't. Some of it's just simply titles or who's running which region. It's a way for the Illuminati to distinguish, when you think about like how the royals ran things, you had the king, but then they basically, what was it? Apartheid's not the right word. They sectioned out the land or property that they oversaw to lords who would run those regions for them, and they were in charge of caring for that land. Those, lords would have farmers then who did the specific farm work. So this is how this kind of the same, it applies, but you just add dragons, supreme dragons, grand dragon, supreme dragon. That's how things are being run. So it really has nothing to do with the bloodline. Do the bloodlines have any dragon blood in them? They don't. Genetically, it's impossible. You look at the chromosome, and as far as I have researched, there is no work out there that tells us the number of chromosomes that a dragon has. Okay. But we do know the number of chromosomes that different reptiles have, and it's an incompatible number. We know genetically that in order for two things to breed and have offspring, there has to be an equal chromosome number for them to create offspring. So you don't see this happening technically between a dragon and a human. So it really came out of those names and terms. Now, if you add into there, the spiritual side, you did have the demonic spirits. And back in Genesis 6, it does talk about, how the angels or demonic spirits were breeding with the women, and they had offspring, and those offspring were known as the Nephilim or the giants. So there was that happening, but then the Lord stopped that after, and had the flood. He destroyed a lot of those beings during the flood. And then actually he destroyed all of them during the flood. There were only 8 people who survived. However, those women who were Noah's son's wives carried the genetic recessive gene from that Hivite culture, okay? And so they had that giant or Nephilim code recessively in them. So the bloodlines have spent years trying to, go back and see if they can recreate through these genes, somebody who is fully half human, half demonic. That's so to them, that's the important thing about the blood is the DNA and the genetics in regards to that. They want that mix of fallen angel and human blood. So that's sometimes where the term comes in. Does it have anything?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
What is so important? Sorry, Jessie, to interrupt you. What is so important about that human plus fallen angel blood? Does it give them some kind of a superpower? Does it give them some kind of an advantage over everyone else? Why is that the way
not necessarily an advantage, but we were told in scripture that those individuals did have superpowers in the way of they had super strength, they had abilities. Some of them could run really fast. So there were things that they could do, that were, it was almost like, their human gifts were amplified through that. And that's the same thing, it applies the same way when the Illuminati tried to have a demonic spirit possess somebody, that spirit working with that person's will and that person giving that spirit control of their gifts or abilities, the gifts are amplified. So,
makes sense.
Fallen angels or angelic beings, they have spiritual gifts too, just like we do.
Absolutely.
So when you align two beings that have the same spiritual gifts, it amplifies the gift.
Wow. Okay. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Makes a lot of sense. It's like, if you go back what you were saying in the beginning with Adam and Eve, and God said to them, don't eat from the tree of knowledge. yet they still decided to. So they were using free will and choice, weren't they? Because that's the greatest gift that God has given us, is free will and choice. So their free will and choice basically started their their decisions to go against what God was advising. I would say that God wouldn't have said, you do that, don't do that, or else. That's not how I see God. But God would say, don't eat from the tree of knowledge. Don't ask questions, just don't do it. Just accept that what I'm giving you is probably the best thing you need to hear right now. Right. But still, in their human form, they decided, oh, I want that tree. I want that tree. I want to go and see what it's about. So, of course, they would then give in to their temptation, right? And isn't that what human beings are about? We're tempted all the time. Right. So whether we give in to the temptation or whether we transcend the temptation and say, okay, cool, I accept that. I'm happy to accept that this is best for me. I might not understand where and why right now, but I accept that that's what I need to do. So I find that interesting. So basically from that perspective all the time, and then when they made that decision, it was then this spiral into hell. Yeah. You know, where they were then using those gifts and abilities, or their free will and choice, if you will, to create mayhem and chaos. I find that very interesting.
Yeah, well, scripture literally, you know, the Lord literally said, the day you eat from that tree, you shall die. So it started that cycle of death, you know, entering in, and it wasn't just physical death. It included that spiritual death too, you know, the depth of depravity and all of that.
Yes.
You know, so
that's what I see it as the death. It's the death. It definitely, it's the death of your light.
Right. Yeah.
So that's very interesting. So we always have a choice to do something or not. We do have the little voice within us that says it's probably not the best thing, but hey, I'm going to go and do it anyway. And then we end up on some way tripping up. And what's happening now is it's kind of taken on a life of its own, hasn't it? Where human beings just decide to do their own thing and don't really consider the consequences of their actions. Because if I look at this whole Luciferian satanic cult, it's really not considering the consequences of their actions. You know, I need power now. I need money now. I need sex now. I need food now. I want now. Mm-hmm. And if we just look at how that has created this completely narcissistic society in which we live, fast foods, fast everything, fast this, there's no consideration for health, for spiritual well-being, for taking care and connecting with the things that really matter, with your spirit, with God, with your creator. And I really think this is what this lockdown has been about for us. In as much as what it's been horrible to be separated from your friends and family, I do believe there's such a lot of good in that, because I don't wear a mask. I won't wear a mask. But when I go out, I'll more like wear a sarong around my face. I'm not that much of a rebel that I will just walk around without it. But I want to get groceries sometimes. But I just find to stand there and really what God is saying to us through this time, because I like to see God in everything. I think God is in everything. So God is saying, create your space, give yourself the space, and we're calling it social distancing. I'm saying yes, but create your space, shut your mouth, go within, and listen to your heart, and listen to what God is saying to you, and what you need to be doing through this time, you know, so that you can reconnect, so that you can come closer to God, the Holy Spirit, the divine, whatever you choose to call it. So I think for me, makes a lot of sense. Like if you go right back to the beginning where God says, don't do it. Those are the consequences. But of course we want to go and experience those consequences, don't we?
Yep.
So
we want to know, you know, what the experience was, and, you know, and that really shows people's heart that there's this, even in that fast food, that convenient, it really becomes a lifestyle of convenience. And in that,
Totally.
we forget about our relationship with God, and
Mhm.
that we have to do things to keep up on a relationship, whether it's with God or with other people. We need to do things to keep up on our spirituality. Um, we have to do stuff to keep choosing to do what's right. Not just going along with whatever the flow is. There's a price to pay if you want, to have good moral character. There's a lot you have to turn away from and choose to walk away from in order to have that good moral character. And so a lot of times we sacrifice
Yes.
in our lives to, for the sake of convenience, we sacrifice what we really want to be and what we can have that's healthy and good for us.
Yep.
And instead of sacrificing the carnal desires, because that's really what we should be sacrificing, is those carnal desires. That's what God says. I mean, if you let go your carnal desires, you will come find the kingdom of God, and that is within you.
Yep.
So spiritually, I think the way it's been for me, or the way I understand it, is by not giving into the temptations of the lower self.
Mm-hmm.
We then experience the higher self. And it's something one can't explain to anyone unless you yourself have gone through it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I totally would. At a deeper level, you're trying to think how to put it. We're told that the kingdom of God is within us, and we're told that it's not a matter of talk, but that the kingdom of God is a kingdom of power. And so often, we have these false illusions, that if we've got this great job, if we're making lots of money, if we've got prestigious relationships, that's what power is, but it's not. We give up the true power and we settle for something that looks good, that really isn't. And, we settle for all these false things that really it's not even, we look at the power of God, and what does he say we can do with it? It says we can cleanse the lepers, we can heal the sick, we can raise the dead, we can cast out demons. This is the true power that is available to us.
Absolutely.
And yet we sacrifice it for what? So we can be making, $50,000 a year, so we can go out to these fancy restaurants and not really relate with anybody, but hey, we leave a big tip, but it's like, what do people really need? What do our communities really need?
Yeah, can I add to that?
Yeah.
I just, when you were speaking right now, and then I just had various, the kingdom of God is through our children. The children is the way through the kingdom of God. So I'm just thinking, your inner child, when you're a child, you like to wonder, you're compassionate, you're caring, you don't indulge really, you're in this natural balance. So, and that is power. I mean, compassion, kindness, that is true power, because when you're in that state of being, you're in the kingdom of God and nothing can hurt you. No demon can find you. They can't even see you.
You're too much above them.
Yeah. I have an amazing story that goes with that. We have missionaries, friends who are in Uganda, and during the harvest season, this was about 2 years ago, one of the 8-year-old boys was plowing the field with the ox and stuff, and the ox got out of control and went running, and I don't know exactly what happened, but the ox got out of control and the boy ended up falling, and the blade for the till went over his hand and literally chopped off his finger. And so he, immediately kind of went into shock, but was yelling, and all the other kids came over and started surrounding him. And so as they were yelling and screaming and the adults were hearing all of this noise, you know, they're running towards the kids, and this little boy was just encircled by all these other children. And as they got closer, they realized that they were hearing the other children starting to sing, and they were praying. And then all of a sudden they heard this laughter start from the inside, and it came out, right? And they were like, what in the world happened? What is going on, right? Well, ends up, you know, the kids, as they getting closer and getting through all the kids, they realize the whole story, that this boy lost his finger. And but then as they got to him, this was the amazing part, that as the kids surrounded him and they started lifting up and singing and praying, literally the Lord grew a new finger in its place, and they had the one that had been chopped off. So
Wow.
God made this complete miracle
Wow.
happen with the children, and it just was the children.
Yeah.
They started singing and praying, and God healed that little boy, like right
Yeah.
there on the spot. So
It's amazing. It's
yeah.
amazing. And that's the power of being the child, because I think from what I'm seeing happening here, you know, with what's happening in the Luciferian cults, they are going after kids because kids are pure and innocent and really they contain within themselves that untarnished power of God.
Mhm.
And that, I believe, is what these people are really after, is they want that eternal fountain of youth, that they want that purity. And they think that by drinking the child's adrenochrome or adrenaline, they're going to get that, because they call that their fountain of youth, don't they? And
That's
without realizing that
Yep.
that's exactly the thing that's taking you down.
Yeah.
So instead of finding that purity inside of themselves, they're seeking it elsewhere because they've forgotten that they carry it within them.
Right.
And more people, and this is what I'm loving about this process, is the more layers we peel back of this, the more people will discover that purity inside of themselves. Even Mulak. I mean, I was thinking about Mulak being the pin-up poster boy. I love it. I think he's getting used to that now. But I
I
think,
don't know
you
if
know,
he's quite used to it, but
it might take a while. But I think even with that, you know, Mulak also started as a pure soul. And his fear of not having or not being strong enough or not being powerful enough caused him to steal all his power from around him, from other souls, from other people, from however, drinking blood, whatever. So he turned into this monster that he doesn't even recognize himself. And the more he just hangs out there and chills, and everyone starts getting their energy back from him, Mulak will start realizing he truly is a child of God. And I think for me, that is everyone. You know, everyone who's had this monstrous experiences in these horrible places, just to realize all of us authentically are created in the image of God. And we've made mistakes. We've become greedy. We've become fearful. We've become believing that we don't deserve it or don't have it or can't acquire it within ourselves. So we've got to take it from outside of ourselves. And I think the more of us who realize God lives within every cell of my body, I just have to access it. I just have to access that within myself.
you just have to call. You know, he says there's a
Exactly.
couple words that, you know, that are used: the call upon the Lord, seek the Lord. All seek and ask. And, you know, he promises no matter what, you know, that he is there. And, you know, that connection is always there and available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think the thing in what I've realized as I've gone through my life is that everyone is a child of God. And depending on how you choose to use your power
Mm-hmm.
is up to you. But there is always redemption, and there's always forgiveness, and
Yep.
there's always that ability just to, or that opportunity just to sit. I love to, you know, when I pray, I see God. It's like I sit at God's feet. That's the way I've always done it. This big, I just see God as this golden, amazing, I don't know, huge, flowing energy kind of thing, you know. And
Right.
I just sit and I just say, there it is. And I get all dramatic. And God smiles kindly and pats me on the head. But I love it, you know, because every time I know I go there and I hand myself or my issues over, there's
Yeah.
always a resolution. There's always forgiveness. God always explains to me the purpose of my sin, what
Mhm.
I need to learn from my sin, you
Right.
know. So if I learn from it, then it works. If I don't, then we continue and spiral into hell, so to speak. So
Yeah.
wonderful.
Very true. I mean, I have so many stories just working with people in the hospital, you know. That's the time usually where people are most concerned, especially if they're critical, you know, they want to know about the afterlife. You know, or that's where when they're really going to be struggling with those regrets or unresolved issues in their life, you know, they don't want to leave with those things hanging over them. And you know, some of the most powerful conversations I've had have been in those moments with people. And you know, I had one woman that you know, literally I was told by my supervisor not to talk about God at all. Okay, so she called me into her office and she said, you know, this woman that you're going to go to who's dying from cancer, she was my, you know, nursing instructor, and um, you know, she's definitely not religious. She doesn't want to talk about God, you know, so I just want you to go in there. She wants help planning her funeral. Okay. And I'm like, okay. So I go in there. The first thing the lady says to me is she says, "Chaplain, I don't want to die." I'm sitting there like, what do I say to this? And the only thing I could say, I was like, well, this life has lots of roads, and sometimes we find ourselves on roads we don't want to be on. And I was like, but here you are. You're on this road and you can't get off. You have no place you can walk except for down this road. And as we got talking, you know, I kept thinking of Corrie Ten Boom, and I just love Corrie Ten Boom. And I remembered she had talked about a story where one of her ministry partners was dying, and you know, she said, "I don't want you to die. I can't let you go." And her ministry partner took her hand and she said, "Corrie, you know, there's going to come a moment where you know, Jesus is going to come for me." And she goes, "At that moment, your job is to put my hand in his, and I'm going to walk with him and be no more." And so as I was talking with this lady, I asked if she knew who Corrie Ten Boom was, and she was like, "Actually, I do know her." And so I brought up that story and shared it. And at the end, you know, I said, "So here you are." I said, "You know, that's really what this comes down to." I said, "You're walking this road, and there's going to come a moment Jesus is going to step out on this road." And I said, "Your job simply is to put your hand in his and walk with him and be no more." And she said, "You know, I've never thought about death that way. Not once." She goes, "You're right. All it is a single step, isn't it? A step from this place into the next." And I was like, "That's it." And she was like, "All right, let's get planning this funeral." You know, well, it was, you know, for someone
Lovely.
who didn't want anything, you know, I was told didn't want anything about God or anything. It was funny because everything in her funeral was revolved around Easter. And she was like, there was this Easter, you know, verse that used to be said when I was a kid. Well, she didn't know what verse it was. So then I had to, scroll through my phone and had to read to her every single Easter verse. And then, same thing with songs. She's like, there was this song, an old hymn, and she knew some of the words. But so then we had to search through all these Easter songs and find, these. And so it was really funny. And so when I went to do her funeral, I was just like, oh man, my supervisor is gonna kill me. Like, I wasn't supposed to talk about God or religion, but I was like, this is going to get interesting. And her family really wasn't into that either. And, I really didn't know this woman. I, knew nothing of her. So, kind of how I ran the service was I told this whole story of our interaction, how, I knew I had been told she wasn't somebody who wanted to talk about God or religion or any of that. She just wanted to plan her service. But this is what, the first thing she said to me was, I don't want to die. And, so I shared all that whole story and then got to the end and I said, now this is the service that she planned for you. This is what she wanted to share with all of you. This is what was important to her. And we shared those Easter scriptures. We shared those songs that were from her childhood, the things that she remembered. And, when I got done with the service, my supervisor like beelined it straight for me. And I'm just sitting there like, I'm so dead, right? And she comes up to me and she's like, I want you to know this is the best damn funeral I've ever been to. And I was like, woo! And I put it there as it was. And, people, like, we have to just be sensitive to what people really want and who they are. And, although her whole life she displayed this, part of herself that she didn't want to talk about God. She didn't want to share any of that spiritual stuff that was important to her. And yet at the end of the road, out of everything she could have said, that was all she wanted to share were those things that she never got to share. And it really was a beautiful thing,
Wow.
Beautiful, yeah.
And it's amazing that you were able to be there just within the last segment of someone's life.
Yeah,
make such a difference just by your presence and certain words, what you were saying, and it's completely shifted everything. Wow, it's beautiful. Lovely. Okay, wow. So when we talk about the reptilians, we hear a lot about the royal families being reptilians. I mean, I've heard, for example, Diana mentioned that a lot while she was still alive. What is this thing with the reptilians? Is that also part of the fallen angels that comes into the bloodlines? How does that reptilian thing actually work? Or is it really demons? Is demons and reptiles the same thing?
There are generational spirits that are passed down through the bloodlines that stick with certain families, so that is part of it. The blood type really has nothing to do with that at all. The fact that you're born into one of these ancient family lines, that has more to do with it than anything else. They do try to breed for certain gifts that come out of those bloodlines. So there's a lot that they do with the DNA. It really doesn't have anything to do with blood type. The majority of the individuals who I know who are hierarchy, not a single one of us are Rh negative, so that, it really doesn't have anything to do with that. But one thing I did find that was interesting, how I think it was being used, especially among the royals, is that you do have a lot of hidden homosexual relationships where, you'll have one of the partners who really is very feminine and coming across as a woman. Because she's really a man, she can't have children. And because this is such a common practice, I think that the Rh negative was utilized as a way for them to not get a lot of questions about their children or their offspring. If they needed to adopt, they were able to adopt without getting a lot of questions. And then it kind of became a thing where it was like, well, the royals, we have to all adopt because of our blood type and because we can't have children. If you look at it scientifically, it proves, women who are Rh negative, when they have a Rh positive baby, their body will attack that baby and try to kill it. So scientifically, it makes sense in people's minds, like, oh, if they're Rh negative, they have to adopt if they want to have children, because it's so hard to have a child when you are Rh negative. So I think it became, a real physical phenomenon that was passed down through some of the lines that they took advantage of, to be able to continue in some of the things they were continuing without question. That's kind of what I've seen happening with it. But
Wow.
yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. That definitely gives me a clearer perspective on that as well. The next thing I'd like to talk to you about, Jessie, is Disneyland, Walt Disney. We've spoken a lot about the Disney kids, and we stars such as Britney and I think Christina Aguilera and Justin Bieber and co. start off being these child stars or these child little singers, whatever, and the Mickey Mouse Club. And then before you wipe your eyes out, they've become these little sexual vamps. If you look at Britney, if you look at what's her name,
Miley Cyrus.
She's wow. She's lost the plot from what I can see lately. Seen some crazy pictures of her wearing pizza gear from head to toe and what have you. Yeah, and also just Disneyland. I've heard so much nonsense about there being underground tunnels and that's where they traffic kids. So Disneyland would really be a hotspot then for child trafficking. What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, well, I think it's definitely used for two things. Several of the older generation survivors, so that'd be people who, are about 20 years older than me, so they're the generation before me. They've talked about those underground tunnels under Disneyland and how there's, the fast trains and Amtraks under there. There's entire cities under there. I've heard there's a military base under there.
Who builds these things? Sorry, who builds these things? Who makes them? This complete underground city.
Well, let's pose a question. We know a group of individuals who formed a special society, and these people's jobs were as builders, architects, so yeah, let's name, we're going to say, hey, a lot of the Masons were the ones who built this stuff. We won't say all of them, but the majority of them, they are the architects behind these major cities, underground and above ground. One of the major ones, I believe, that was connected to that was Henry Thompson Bauer. He had some other names on there too, but he was very connected with that area. He built a lot of the underground mansions for the elite. You had people like, Frank Lloyd Wright. He wasn't directly involved with Disneyland or the building of that, but it goes back even further. The Disney castle is actually mirrored off of Neuschwanstein. So it directly connects with that German castle. And you also have a lot of the other German culture that's coming into Disneyland, like the Grimm fairy tales. It's very centered on those things. Those things became part of the programming process. Those stories became ways that they could control and program children to have certain responses, certain narratives. Disney, what they did was they took the original Grimm fairy tales, which if you read in their original language are very graphic and violent, and they softened them. So it's almost like comparable to, you've got, I'm going to use a word here, you've got hard porn and you've got soft porn. Soft porn is meant to, draw people in. So literally, I would go as far to say that Disney was a place that was meant to draw people into witchcraft, divination, black magic. As you get into it more and more, there's a lot of subliminal things in that. There's a lot of, almost every single Disney movie that's based off the fairy tales deals heavily with witches. At first, you look at the older Disney movies like Snow White and things like that, the witches were portrayed as the bad people, the people who were trying to kill or hurt or harm. And now in our generation, we've seen where they're giving the princesses these powers and abilities of their own. And they're being, promoting that they're being used for good, for life, and, the benefit of other people. So like even Moana, at one point in that movie, there's a stone that she's connected with, which I'll point out has a pedophile symbol on it, the pedophile swirl. And she has this stone and she's connecting with the mother goddess of the earth. And the goddess who, this goddess has split personality. So a part of her split off and, became this, killing crazy fire lava monster thing. Well, Moana brings all three of them together. Herself is one of them. And, she's told that, she was the one, she had the power all along, and it kind of gives this imagery that she's the goddess. And so you get where, Disney made this shift now where these young girls are being encouraged to come into their powers that they have, whether those are powers over the earth, over the water, over the fire. Got Frozen, Elsa, who, there's a lot with the Nordic theology or neurotic, let me put it this way, Nordic mythology with that one where, she's got the power over ice and, snow and things like that. Well, with these things, if you look into magic, all the Disney princesses are basically, connected to some sort of elemental magic. And Disney really pushes the magic. Now, what most people don't know, if you can get a hold of Michael, we all know the name Michael Aquino, American general. He has a book that he wrote called Mind Wars. Now, what's interesting is in the front of that book, he lists a whole bunch of names that were people who he gives credit to that were behind the writing of this book. One of those individuals is Walt Disney. There's been things that have come out that Aquino was part of, using children that were in those underground dumb bases under Disneyland, in experiments, in projects, that, they were training these children in PSYOP missions, through the CIA and stuff like that. And so that's why, we saw the shift in some of these characters, like, you know, Britney Spears, Miley Cyrus. They were really good. They, you know, the shows were family, were healthy, orientated, and then as soon as, you know, they got to that age where Disney wouldn't have them on the shows anymore, all of a sudden you see this dramatic, you know, shift where they're very sexualized, and, you know, it's like they almost don't even care that they, you know, it's beyond just natural rebellion.
Yeah,
And a
yeah.
child would experience, you're like, what the heck is going on with this kid? You know, like, not even a normal person who, you know, even a very seductive woman doesn't act that way publicly, you know, especially not in front of audience on TV, you know. So really it's been an underground training program for some of the high-end beta kitty sex slaves that are now, you know, that generation, that age group for Britney Spears, Miley Cyrus. A lot of them are under Madonna, who is a grand dame. So she's the one heading up kind of this, we'll just call it a Disney brothel. You know, that's really what it was it was a grooming, it was a place they were grooming children. And, you know, the average American person, because they made it so magical, they made it seem so innocent, they made it seem like, you know, these are the values we want our daughters, our granddaughters to have, or our sons. You know, that's how they got us to invest in these programs. It's like we paid for them to groom these children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like if we go back to the first, what we were talking about, eating the kids, you know, when they crush them, their final remains, and put it in our food, and we've got to buy crushed up kids.
Yeah.
We're paying them to crush the kids.
Yeah,
I mean, gosh.
I mean, we
Yeah.
got to take that responsibility. You know, I think that's the biggest thing, that, you know, as stuff is revealed, we have to take that responsibility before God and say, you know, my lifestyle of convenience, my lack of really fighting fleshly temptation, I was just as big as a part of this and investing in the things that happened as these people who were involved. You know, none of us, you know, what's being said is, you know, nobody gets a free pass. And I think in that we're all going to find out, you know, we all played a big part in this.
Completely, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. I think that's amazing to know, because once we know that, at least we're aware of it. You know, again, it's all about being aware. And the minute we are aware, we can start seeing things, and then we can start doing it differently. At some point, I think everyone's going to wake up, right?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time. You know, it's really just the initial stages of this process now that are challenging. Kind of when you know, it's like when you wake up in the morning, you've had a really late night, and the alarm goes off, and you just keep pressing that snooze button. Just 10 more minutes. Please let me just sleep 10 more minutes.
It was a rough night.
Yeah.
And indeed it was.
I know that feeling, like, you know, for so long I want it to come out and come forward, but then at the same time, you know, there's parts of me where it's just like, oh, can I just not have it out just for a little longer, you know? Because you just don't want to deal with how extensive the depravity is.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, I mean, I just know what I felt when we discovered what happens with those gorillas and the children, and that shattered my heart. I have to tell you, it took me, and it's still taking me, some time to process that.
Well, Disney uses a lot of animals too.
I was about to say that. I mean, when you look at all these animals in Disney and the chimps and the, oh my goodness, I mean, there's not even one animal you can separate. They've used them all, haven't they?
Yeah.
And yeah, it makes one wonder. But it's interesting because on that topic, we actually did a read with Janine about that last night as well, and Ellen's involvement. And it seems pretty rock solid that that's going on from her side. But anyway, you know, we talk about love, we talk about forgiveness, we talk about understanding that everyone is on their path, and she will, I guess, come to her own conclusions about.
Sorry, the greatest thing we can do is pray for those people,
Yes.
you know, because there is hope, there is redemption.
Yeah.
That's last minute. You know, the greatest gift that any of these people can give the survivors that they've hurt is to say, you know what, whatever reason it was that, you know, just that I was wrong, that, you know, I was evil, the things I did were wicked, and, you know, I need to stop it, and I need to ask forgiveness for that. And whether it's given or not, that acknowledgement that what they did, there was no reason, there's no excuse, you know, but them stepping forward with that personal responsibility and saying, hey, you know, that I was wrong, and I'm sorry, I was wrong.
And that's the courage it takes, isn't it? Because it takes so much courage to actually turn around from that and have to face. And I think we've even mentioned that before, you know, it's more than anything having to face yourself. It's one thing knowing that I am a child of God and I am born in the image of God and I am created from God, or by God rather. But it's one thing applying that knowledge, I think, where you can go and you can receive the redemption, but now you've got to face your own actions. You've got to face your own dark side, that has created, that has done these monstrous things. And that, I think, is the hardest. But really, at the end of the day, I think when people do it, it's a lot easier than what we think it is to actually turn around and face yourself and say, I'm sorry. Because humans, you know, we are very forgiving, actually, you know. I mean, look at how many people have come out of the system now, have done terrible things, and are blowing whistles now, and are embraced by humanity. So yeah, I think it's very important that we can all reach that stage and realize it's okay, as long as we choose to turn that around for ourselves. It's okay. We can redeem ourselves, which is beautiful.
Yeah, the Lord promises, you know, he says that if we confess our sins, that he is faithful and just to forgive us and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. And I think that's a very powerful word to hear, is that, you know, that you can be completely cleansed from this wickedness, these things you participated in, you know, that's available at any time. You know,
and you can become such a powerful healer, you know, when you've turned around from that. I think those are the people. Look at yourself, I mean, you certainly didn't do these atrocities that a lot of the other people are doing, but look at the powerful healer you've become just through your word and just through the service you give to God, you know. And I think when people turn around from that and they come out of that, they are incredibly powerful healers, because they understand what it took to get them there, and what it's taking to get them out, you know. And the love, all it is love, you know. When we have love in our hearts, that's all we need. Really, that's all we need, in my opinion.
Well, people relate to that, you know. They don't want to get up there. You know, I think back to one of my seminary roundtables that I was involved in, and, you know, one of the professors got up there and, in his pride and pomp was, sitting there and was like, the scripture says this, and you need to live this way, and every day you should be doing dot, 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 And as I was watching him talk on and on, I started looking around, and nobody, like none of the students, they were all kind of like talking among themselves, or they were busy looking distracted, doing something else, And I realized, I was like, boy, not a single person is listening to anything this guy is saying. Well, then another guy gets up there and he's like, boy, he's like, I'm just going to have to ask your forgiveness. He's like, it's been a rough week and I'm kind of winging this. I wanted to have something prepared, but I don't, because he's like, I just had such a rough week. And he's like, I want to be in the word every day, but he's like, I just couldn't get there. And by the time, in my busy schedule that I got a moment, I just honestly was so tired. And he's like, but then I feel so guilty. I feel like, why, I didn't meet up with God, all week. He's like, okay, I'm just going to be honest. I didn't meet with God all week. He's like, I was just so busy. I didn't even have time for God. And that man had every single person's attention. And he was like, how many of you, he's like, how many of you honestly, in this seminary program, honestly get at least even an hour a week with God, and you watched as everybody's faces were like, do I want to admit I haven't been spending time with God either, and
exactly,
that was the reality. And, that's what we have to give each other is even these people who have been in the sheer wickedness. People want that reality because we all struggle with things. How many people struggle with drinking too much, or, struggle with your kids where you're so angry, you're yelling at them, you're not loving them like you're supposed to, or parenting them like you want to, this is, you can even go to marriage. How many of us are having difficulties there? And we all have these struggles, and none of us want to talk about them because we're all afraid we're going to get judged. And, but we got to realize that that's the power, that as we start to share what we're going through and we're real about it, that's what draws people, and that's the power of our story. That's where the healing begins, is when we bring forth that truth.
Authenticity.
Yes.
Being authentic.
Total authenticity. Yes, that realness. We're not perfect, we've got our mistakes. We've got our, and as he says, he hadn't met with God that entire week, so he's feeling a bit flustered. But hey, how are you guys feeling? Guys, it's amazing because people relate to that. To be in truth and to be real, it's very cool. It's amazing, and it's lovely. I love it, and that's one of the things I love about you, Jessie. You're so real, and you're so authentic, and you're so in your truth. It's such a happy time to be spending.
I love that about you
really,
too. I mean, we bring out the real. I like this show. We bring out the realness.
Be real, yeah.
It really is, and we should put a plug there too. Like everybody, the rituals camp.
That was brilliant.
I love that. That was so cool. That was really, really cool. That was really, really cool. Jessie, we're having Africa reunion in a year's time. You're right. You're coming, right?
Right. I'm going to be there.
We're planning. It's going to be around about September, October next year. We were going to plan for our festival this year, but it's now with all this scary flu business. We will do it probably next year this time.
Okay.
So we are going to be having a Africa reunion for Aquarius Rising Africa. We will most certainly be getting sponsors and zooting you guys out to the desert to have a wonderful. I can't wait.
That'd
it's going to be awesome.
It'll be so fun. I'm prone to getting chased by lions and bears and wolves, and threatened to be eaten. So you just got to promise there aren't going to be any lions.
They attract
weird things.
Well, they probably like you. That's why they're following you. They love your energy. You see, animals will always go after those that they like. So. Speaking of which, we were actually talking a little bit off air earlier on about the trolls, and speaking about, just what we were speaking about earlier, and which is something I wanted to just touch on before we ended off this evening's talk.
Yeah,
or morning for you
those who
again.
don't play the community game.
Yeah. What do you make of that? I mean, that's quite interesting. I mean, I've just been called a white racist woman. I was like, whoa. I mean, even somebody called me a ninth, what did they, hang on, a ninth circle satanic child abuser or child sacrifice.
Abuser, sacrificer.
Child sacrificer. That didn't even affect me as much. It was like, wow, because we're bringing up the stuff on Nelson Mandela and our presidents and stuff. Really, guys, I want to just put it out there. If you think I'm a racist because I'm doing that, you are sorely mistaken. That's not why I'm doing this at all. We're doing it to create awareness. We're doing it to, it was very hard for me to face some of those truths because, especially with Nelson Mandela, to me, he was the one good thing that came from Africa, the one good thing that we had, with despite all this nonsense and our history and whatever. And it turns out that's not the case. But anyway, so it takes, all of us, it's all about waking up and what have you. Yeah. But you probably had a few of those trolls and things. Is that what we call them, trolls? Is that the proper word?
Those don't like to play the community game.
The non-players.
The non-communities.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do get a lot of those attacks and stuff. And, it's just sad because really, if we all came together and are working towards the same cause, we got to look at what's the most important information or what's most important. I'll just say that. To me, what's most important is that the information gets out there because we've got kids' lives who are in danger. And it takes everybody working together to be able to, know how things are happening, where things are happening, when things are happening. And, we don't have time. We don't have time to sit and play the non-community game. That time is lives. As a child, I grew up in a world where, time wasn't measured by minutes. Time was measured by lives and decisions. Every moment there was a decision to be made. Every decision came at a cost and a price. And, we don't have time to be, you've got individuals who are in the military, you've got people who are helping them, do their work. And when you get these nonstop harassers who are not working with people, they're really working against people. It causes so much damage. I think the biggest thing for me that kind of makes me the maddest is that as a survivor, it's already been hard enough to be heard by those who should have been the safe people to listen. I mean, I can't even count the number of times that I tried to tell. I was determined. That was my control in the system. And that was the one thing I chose to never give them control of, was my voice. So every chance I got, I was trying to tell, whether it was a teacher, a pastor, law enforcement, police officers. I earnestly was making an effort, and I rarely would even get a line out. It didn't matter if it was my family's in the occult, my family are witches, my family eat babies, my family kills babies. That was all I would get out. People, if it was me and a child, I heard a child saying that, immediately I'd be like, can you tell me more about that? Are you okay? Are you safe? Are you being hurt? you know, like I'd be asking questions like that, but these people who were my safety people in life wouldn't even go there. It was like they immediately stop lying, don't talk about that, those things don't happen, they're not real. Okay, that's what I got. So now, you know, it's like people are coming out a lot, you know, more than just me, that a lot of survivors are starting to voice really the abuse that's been going on. And you know, we're not doing it for ourselves just to get heard, we're doing it for these children who are still stuck in this darkness, who need a way out. And when these people, you know, they come in and they come in as they're supposed to be helpers, they come alongside of you, they take advantage of your transparency and your vulnerability. I'm the type of person where I never expect somebody to be vulnerable unless, you know, I'm giving that same amount of vulnerability. And I'll be the first to give it, you know, because I'll never ask somebody to give something that I'm not already going to give to them. You know, that's probably the most sacred part of a relationship, is that transparency and vulnerability. And you know, so these people will come in and they get that, they get you to be transparent, vulnerable, they ask questions, and you give that because that's the type of person you are. And then they take advantage of that and they use it to stop those people who, you know, the people who already won't ask the questions, don't want to go down that road. And what it does is it keeps the information from getting out there. It keeps the truth from moving forward. And it's just a big time waster and hindrance. Whereas if these people would, you know, step out of that box and join in the fight, you know, they'd find a lot of them, they won't even ask the questions. They'll just assume certain things by what you've said, and they twist it or put it out there, make it seem a certain way. And they don't even ask the questions behind it. And, you know, if they did, they would find that there's a really good reason why you say what you say that they're now using against you. You know, I mean, kind of the same with you, you know, it's like, we aren't just bringing forward Nelson Mandela or Tutu, who have those darker skin colors. The majority of the people we've named are the same color as you, and but the color was never even our focus in the first place,
Yeah,
right?
completely.
So
Exactly.
it's like it
Exactly.
had nothing to do with the conversation. We were looking at the heart, we were looking at actions, we were looking at what these people are really doing behind the scenes, that is, it's provable, it's stuff that, you know, we're looking at, you know, these connections, like it's such a web, and we're bringing that forth to the light. And it had nothing to do with what you believe about these people at all,
Exactly.
nor your
Exactly.
heart. It had nothing to do with your heart. You know, you weren't like, oh, he's dark color, let's see how we can throw him under the bus. You know, I mean, it's like
Exactly.
your world
Exactly.
was shattered. You're like, this is somebody I adore, I look up to. Like, I mean, it's heartbreaking because you do, like, these are people that we honestly love. You know, I'm the same way. You know, the people who hurt me the most and abused me the most were those that I truly loved as a child. Like, I loved these people, and I would have done anything, you know, for them, to keep them from the stuff that we had to go through. But, you know, I was a child. I didn't have that power. I didn't have that authority over them. You know, I couldn't, no matter how much I tried to fight, I couldn't make them change their minds. I couldn't make them choose a different path. Um, that's the reality of the situation. And, you know, you're the same thing in your country. These people, there's nothing we could do to stop them from deceiving, from creating this persona that drew people in, that made people invest, that caused people to, inadvertently be part of the evil. We had no control over that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But it's good to know that we have support from each other and a lot of people out there. And I thank God every day for two things as far as you're concerned. And that is that you had your little training partner that took very good care of you. So for that, and Satan for never allowing you to be killed, for never allowing your proctor to do the dirty on you. Yeah. So that I'm grateful for, really. And that's why I say I see God in everything. Right. Do you remember that lady, that Nigerian doctor not too long ago in America who was doing this hydrochloroquine or whatever it was? Mm-hmm. And suddenly after that, she spoke about how many people she treated that recovered, a couple of 400, I think she said. And then suddenly she was fake news all over, persona non grata and this quack. But I watched her in an interview with someone not long after that, and I loved it. And she was talking about how she'd been shut down. But suddenly she said, but look at my WhatsApp or whatever it was. She says 600 and something messages or people wanting to talk to her about stuff. And she says, God has a way of making the devil work for you.
This is true.
And that was absolutely God in action through Satan, because Satan knew you were sacred. You were sacred. You were not allowed to be touched. And for that, I'm extremely grateful. Yeah. And I would like to just end off with this little word called respect. We're living in such challenging times right now, and everyone has their own opinions about things. And I'm horrified by the amount of Trump bashing that goes on and the disrespect. And we were also saying early on, I'm just seeing these memes on Facebook, pretty much wishing that the COVID took him. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that people, in my opinion, people who say that about him have no clue about what's going on. They really need that red pill. So what would be your idea of how we can be respectful towards each other at these times, despite our differences of opinions? And we're entitled to that. Right. That's what makes the world interesting, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Well, first I got to voice too my opinion on that. It goes above just saying things about somebody trying to discredit or trying to hurt them in some way. Number one, it makes me mad when people say comments about Trump, because no matter who he is, first of all, he's in the office of the title of our president, and that office deserves respect. He has not been somebody to lose that respect. He's not done anything that would warrant something being said bad about him in the first place. So, I think as Americans, we need to remember that, we have a government that our forefathers set up for us, and we need to respect that authority so our children learn how to respect authority. Is it okay to voice your opinions? Absolutely, but you can still do it in a respectful way. You can say, I disagree with this. This is why I disagree with him. You can find respectful ways to do it instead of, it's just rude, number one, to wish death on anybody. Even I don't wish death on my worst enemy, because I know what the really bad death looks like, so it's like, I don't wish that on anybody. And so anyway, with that said, it really is worthwhile investing in individuals, and I look at it that way. You can't define people you know, by the little things that you hear being said. You know, I think about, you know, some of the Satanists that I work with, like the one I talked about with Molech and stuff. You know, he very clearly, you know, beyond Satanist, he would call himself a Luciferian. He got into a situation, and hopefully he won't get mad at me sharing this, but you know, they got hit with really severe weather one winter, and all the power went out, and it literally was 60 below zero. Now, we all know that, you know, elderly or disabled people are greatly affected by that weather. So this person, in spite of his personal beliefs, you know, he was thinking of saving lives. Okay, so he had a whole bunch of black hex candles, like a big box of them. So he lined those up around the house, and guess what was their heat source? All these hex candles. Okay, so, you know, a lot of Christians are going to have a problem with this. You know, my first comment to him was like, you didn't tell your mother they were your hex candles, did you? And then it was like, my God, tell me you didn't burn over 50 at a time, right? He was like, no, I only did 43. And it was like, okay, we're good then. No, but anyway, but you got to think, like, you can't judge people that, you know, that way. Like, so many Christians would come against something like that and be like, you know, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened, you know. And I'm sitting there like, you know, when I got the call, he actually called me before he decided to burn them and said, we're in dire straits. What are you thinking about this? And I was like, pull the candles out and start them, man. I mean, it's a heat source, right? Who cares what source it is? You guys got to survive. It's 60 below outside, right? You know, use the devil's bounty. I mean, come on, you know, Satan, thank you for the heat today. God, this keep us alive. I mean, this is how I think. You can't judge people based on things like that. You know, you got to know what's behind it. You know, most people who would hear that story now would just hear he burned the hex candles, you know, but the reason behind it was that he loves his family. He doesn't want to see anybody die. Any of us in a dire situation are going to utilize whatever we have. You know, I think back to stories of people in Alaska or other countries, you know, where the only way they could stay alive was, you know, basically being in the nude together. Okay. In any society, if you're a man and a woman and that's not your husband or your wife, people are going to automatically criticize that. But if you take the time to get to know what the story was, you know, and you believe people when they say, hey, nothing bad happened, we just did what we had to survive, you know, you got to give people that respect, that decency. So what in all that, where you have to start is you really need to get to know people. You know, sometimes people even make comments that are way out there. You know, I mean, I think of some of my best visits with individuals. One of them, I walked in and I was like, hey, you know, I'm Jessie, I'm the chaplain here, and I just wanted to stop in and see how things are going this week. And the guy's like, I don't want no effing chaplain, get your religious ass out of here, blah blah blah, you know. And I had a choice there. I could have walked out and just left that room, and instead, you know, I was kind of in one of those spunky moods that day. So I grabbed my badge and I was like, hell yeah, you know what? I don't want to be a chaplain today. And I grabbed the badge and I was like, you know, would you mind if I just stayed as like a person? You know, I could really just use a break. Can I just sit down for a second? And the guy started laughing. He was like, by all means, take a seat. I was like, oh, my day was so crappy. You aren't going to want to hear about it. How's your day, Ben? You know? And he was just historically laughing and was like, and it opened up the door. He started telling me all about his day, you know, and he was like, yeah, my day's been sucky too, you know. And But we had this great conversation. And then by the end, he was like, if you want to pop in and visit me again, he's like, you just come on by. He's like, just leave the badge at the door. And I was like, all right, no problem.
Wonderful.
Right. So it's like, I would have never gotten to know that person. I actually was the person who was there with him as he passed away. I got to be the person holding his hand as he crossed over. And, we miss out on experiences when we fail to really get to know people, when we don't ask questions, even if it's something we disagree with, we can ask, why are you saying that? Or why do you think that? Why do you think child trafficking is a conspiracy theory? What about it do you think is not real? Or why do you put it in that classification? Why do you put the people who talk about it under this label of being conspiracy theorists? We at least owe them the respect to find out. And if they're just spouting stuff and they really don't want to talk, they really don't care, you don't have to invest in that relationship. That's not what I'm saying. But you never know until you walk down that road with somebody. And every person is worth getting to know.
Absolutely.
Even the worst of them, the greatest things, the people who have impacted my life the most were probably the same people who hurt me and caused me the most pain in life.
Absolutely.
So
I so agree with what you're saying. It's just about taking the time to ask a question or two without jumping to conclusions and having that knee-jerk reaction, because really at the end of the day, that's your projection. It's got nothing to do with the other person. It's what you're feeling, your hurt, your frustrations, your angers that you spewing out on another person. So it doesn't really matter. Well, it does matter. What I'm saying is it's not about the other person. It's really about you, and that you need to go and check in with yourself and see why it is you feeling so bad about life or that person or whatever. But really, and as you say, just every person deserves, I want to say, respect. Every person deserves the respect of saying, how are you feeling, or whatever, something like that, before jumping to the conclusion that they are this and that. And this is a good lesson for me as well. I can't say I'm completely innocent there. I definitely get my jump to my own conclusions and sometimes react. Much less so nowadays. But
well, and why are we, I gotta ask too, why are we afraid? I think about, my relationship with some of those Satanists, and, that's where I get the biggest kickback from Christians. And there's this fear that, they're afraid to look at other people's, what they would classify as sin or wickedness. And sometimes you find even in those people that they're more, I'm gonna put the word out there. A lot of Christians are gonna struggle with this, but sometimes those people are more pure and righteous in areas than we are claiming to be Christians. And we're afraid to engage with them. And I think back to Jesus, he literally sat at the table with the tax collectors and the sinners. It wasn't, to the point where he was like, first, you have to confess all your sins. You have to be in a right relationship with God, and then I'll come and sit at your house and eat with you. It wasn't like that at all. He went and he sat, he ate with them, he fellowshiped with them, he got to know them. And out of that time spent with them, they came to him then and said, I want to follow you. And they saw the difference in him. And we lose out on that when we just say things to people without taking that personal aspect of them. Even the most wicked person that I know, you know, I'll just put out there, my proctor, you know, she's somebody, she's lost family members just like the rest of us. She struggled through, you know, depression at times in her life. And, you know, there was this reality to that in those times, she couldn't go through it alone. She needed somebody to walk through it with her. And, you know, I had one Satanist that, you know, I just got talking with her randomly, and she ended up having some major health issues going on, to the point where she didn't know if she was going to live or not. And she had children, small children, that she was afraid, you know, it's like, what do I do? I'm a single parent. I don't have family. You know, what if something happens to me? What happens to my kids? And, you know, if I never would have taken the time beyond, you know, the line that, you know, I'm a Satanist, she would have been walking through that situation all alone, all by herself, you know. And it didn't matter. God didn't care whether she came to the Lord or not through that situation. He simply put me there to walk through it with her, so that she wasn't there alone, you know. And we deny that, we withhold ourselves from each other. And I think that's one of the greatest sins that can be committed, is that emotional and physical withholding of ourselves from our fellow men and women.
I could not have asked for you to say something more spot on in that right now.
Mhm.
Absolutely. That is the greatest sin, because we deprive ourselves of so much
Right.
when we deny ourselves the connection with another human being. That's
Mhm.
what it is, really. And
Yeah.
that's why I love it, because that's why we call our talks connecting, our connections.
Right.
For me, that's truly what this is. It truly is a connection.
Yeah.
Yay, Jessie. Thank you so much again for another. You can see I'm sitting in the dark here. Lit a candle. I'd have to get up and walk across the room to switch the light on. I didn't feel like doing that right now. So you guys are just going to see my silhouette for a while. Oh, by the way, Mornay, you and I have even been accused of signing at each other. Someone wants to know what's with Mornay and I signing with each other. I'm like, what?
Giving you a question.
Entertaining you, that's all.
Can't do anything, you can't do anything.
You probably don't want to use entertainment as an excuse. That could be a good one.
True. Oh, wonderful.
Oh, man.
I love people.
Beautiful evening, beautiful connection again, Jessie. I say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for another beautiful story we're going to be putting out there and for people to listen to.
Yeah, definitely.
So I look forward to seeing you very soon again.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So, beautiful. Thank you, Jessie. Have a beautiful evening.
You too.
Or beautiful day.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
All right. Bye.
Thank you, Jessie.
Bye-bye.
Bye, lady.
Oh, lovely. Wow, what a lovely conversation again with this amazing lady. Isn't she just the best? I just think she's incredible. Wow. So much wisdom, so much knowledge, so much strength, so much gentleness. You know, I really think she's truly got so many amazing gifts that she's sharing, and I think so many people are benefiting from her talks. Yeah. Cool, Angel. That's you and I then.
Thank you. Wow.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Lovely.
See you again.
You see, Mornay is talking.
Yes. I'll make it a mission to talk more.
Yeah.
And then people will be like, "Oh, can you stop talking? Let the women talk more now."
Yeah, guys, you must truly vouch for that, okay? He talks quite a bit.
All my friends are like, he's just always talking. I'm a good listener and I'm a good talker. But
yeah, that's true.
We get back to respect.
Awesome.
Respect is all about listening. So I listen to the
true.
ladies.
Hearing each other out.
So.
Hearing each other out. Awesome, guys and girls. Thank you so much. Give us a like, share, and a subscribe, and get the messages spread far and wide. Sending you much love from a beautiful South Africa, where we have no doubt we will transcend whatever is going on.
Yes.
Take it easy, guys.
Bye.
Love you all. Bye.
Well, hello, everybody. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever in the beautiful world you are. Welcome back to Aquarius Rising Africa with me, Chantal, your hostess with the mostest awesome guests and viewers. And tonight, when I see who's in the chat room, thumbs up to all of you. Thank you so much for being here, and great big welcome to those who are still going to be entering. And of course, brand new guest on Ara, Arkhiem Ra. I am so happy to be chatting with Arkhiem tonight. In fact, I want to just say, when Jessica Jones was first introduced to me by, I think it might have been Bryce, I can't remember. I watched a show with Jessica, and she was interviewing Arkhiem Ra. It's the first show I watched with Jessica and Arkhiem, and I thought, wow, I definitely need to chat to this guy. And well, wishes come true. Everybody, welcome to Aquarius Rising. Tadam, Arkhiem Ra. How are you, Arkhiem?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on the show, Chantal.
It's such a pleasure. And we want to just give you a great, big, warm Aquarius Rising Africa welcome. I know that lots of our viewers see you on Jessica's show, The Cryptid Huntress. That's where I, as I've just said, got to see you the first time. Mm-hmm. And I'm so happy to have you with us tonight. So welcome, and welcome to everyone in the chat. How are things in your end of the world, Arkhiem?
I'll be honest with you. A lot of people think things are great and we're about to enter a golden age, but I don't think any of that. I think that we're in a moment of chaos. So I don't want to be doom and gloom, because a lot of people are accusing me of being doom and gloom. I'm not, but basically we're being thrust into a situation where we're going to have to react to a lot of different things in the correct manner in order to decide whether we step into a positive timeline or not.
Right.
So, and like, we might get into the fact that I literally know Elon and things like that. But I'm concerned about what's going on. I'm concerned about the United States. I'm concerned about the rise of fascism. And there's not that many people in my sphere of truthers that are echoing the sentiments that I am echoing. And so I've sort of taken this path so I'm doing it solo. I used to do a show with two other people. I'm not going to say their names because I wish them the best, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm talking bad about them. But yeah, I basically have this thing where God is putting me on a path where I have to be alone for a while. And I'm getting messages that from God, basically, that signs, not literal, like him talking to me, just things I see where the universe is speaking to you, where the universe is like telling me, like, yeah, it's okay. Like, a lot of these people are going to figure it out. You didn't really lose as many friends as you think you did. And just stay on the path that just keep speaking the truth. Because that's where it is. I could have agree to disagree with people on a lot of things. But then when Elon Musk put up that Sig Heil, that was the moment for me where I saw a lot of people, basically every single person I saw making excuses for that. I was like, I can't talk to you anymore. So that's where I'm at right now, which is honestly a very difficult junction point of my life. I had to turn down, like, I'm not going to speak at a conference anymore where I was getting paid like $1,200 to speak at it, stuff like that. But my integrity is in the actual truth is more important to me than like going along with the program and being popular. So that's why I decided to do all these things. So you asked me what's going on with me right now. I didn't really want to be polarizing or dividing anyway, but that is what's going on with me right now.
Well, I think it's what Joanne was saying in the chat. Is it being a negative Nancy, or are we getting a healthy dose of the truth? And what I actually failed to say in the beginning of the show, guys, that and I know a lot of you are familiar with Arkhiem, but for those of you who aren't, he is a whistleblower for the Montauk Project. Time traveler, because that's one of the main things that they do there, and of course things like the secret space program. But tonight we're going to be talking mainly about the Montauk Project, and I am going to entice Arkhiem back to Aquarius Rising Africa, hopefully, where we will be having further conversations about a lot of these other programs that he's been involved in, because wow, the stuff we're hearing at the moment is thick and fast, and it really is unbelievable, actually, for a normie. I always thought I was pretty open-minded. I realized how much I don't know or didn't know up until very recently. But Arkhiem, I want to just maybe go back to the beginning with you, if you don't mind. Now, sure. As I said, what we're going to be talking about is the Montauk Project. So we understand that this is a program for especially gifted children, etc., etc. We're going to get more into it, but take us back to the beginning.
It goes back really far for me, so I don't know how far back you go. I don't want to confuse the viewers. I want to stay more grounded in the story that we're in now, rather than a story of ancient times. But basically, I'm going to try to summarize this really fast because it could take up the entire interview, and I don't want to do that. But I am from a line of bird people as a starseed who were part of what were called the Council of Ra. When we created humans, along with many different other TET, to do work for us, it ended up backfiring. I ended up stuck here on Earth. Not because I wanted to be. It got turned into a soul trap, and I was here at the time. A war broke out, and my people left, so I got stuck here. And then through Marduk found me through the Montauk Project. I was a phoenix, and the first time I was ever at Montauk, it was as a phoenix, not as a human being. And they used me to open a portal to Atlantis, to go back to Atlantis. To raid the city as it fell, basically, get their technology and stuff, which I did against my will. I did not want to do that. And then, once that body died, I think they just set it all up somehow. I don't know, but I believe that, so they call him the old man, Carl Emmerman. And then, her name's Michelle Lambie, I think. Michelle Lambie, which, yeah. So, Michelle Lambie, she's like this witch lady. She was part of a Nazi satanic ritual, sex ritual, to bring my soul into a human body. So my father is Carl Emmerman. He was, the official history is he's a U-boat Nazi. And by the way, a lot of this is new. I figured out a lot of this stuff. So no, I haven't talked about this in many interviews yet. Like, I figured out a lot of this stuff in the past year. So like other interviews where they're like, what's your story? Like, a lot of this information is new. Like, I got this recently. Right. But basically, yeah, Carl Emmerman, he's the head of Project Ibis, and he was the one, he was with Michelle Lambie and other people, was just manifesting all the Egyptian gods. And that was Project Ibis. So I'm a part of Project Ibis as well. Yeah, Michelle Lambie was a satanic witch. Yep, exactly. So that's how I got here. And I was actually born in an alternate reality in the year 1953 in München, or Munich, if you're an English-speaking person, Germany. And so I was born in an alternate timeline, and I'm only here through being a time soldier and altering the timeline a bunch of times. So I've seen a lot of the Mandela effects. I've seen a lot of the changes. I remember some of the slightly different timelines because I was literally there. All the different versions of me were there. So like, I remember even like my normal lives as a normal American person. Like, I remember like, the other timeline where America was poor because the South won the war, and then people didn't want to work with us, and it ruined our economy. I just remember all sorts of other timelines and things like that. But It's important. It's a part of my story. I do believe that I've been in these programs basically my whole life. I would say not even I believe, I know that my life is manufactured. I know that this is a clone, that my parents are surrogates, that basically my whole life is manufactured. As to how and why, all the reasons behind that, that's not entirely clear yet. From what I can tell, I wanted to live a normal life. I was tired of running, tired of fighting, and I wanted to live a normal life. I think is maybe with my family, with the people I love from the programs, but then they found me and continued to use me. We thought we could hide, and that was unrealistic. I got targeted through the Talented and Gifted program, which is a program. It's called GATE on the West Coast, the Gifted and Talented Education Program. And then in the Midwest and the East, it's called the Talented and Gifted Program. But basically, they're using this program to test children to see if they have high IQs. And then they do more tests to figure out if they have psychic abilities at all. And they are literally, the U.S. school system is literally using time travel to kidnap kids, clone them, make them live entire lives, and basically do colonization. And the most important part of my testimony and my story that I feel like it gets looked past with a lot of other whistleblowers, and I try to reiterate this very much, is that everything what I do, whether it's the Montauk Project, Phoenix 2, or whether it's Solar Warden, or it doesn't matter who I'm working for, Nachtwaffen, which is the German space military, they're all doing the same thing. They're colonizers. They're Vikings. They're going around and taking planets and land that does not belong to them with brutal force. Think of, just like, that's the whole MO, the entire thing. Whether you're going back in time and trying to gain more power on Earth or whatever, or you're doing it on another planet, it's all military. It's all to gain resources and power and control. And yeah, I am on the autism spectrum, by the way, too. So yeah, but yeah, they did these tests. They funneled me into these programs. I also worked as a janitor at a school later on in life, where I was being taken through the elevator, and they were like, even though I wasn't even in school anymore, they were still figuring out a way, and I was training kids. So I actually remember I had to quit this job. It was so traumatizing for me. I remembered some of these kids. It was in connection with a project of colonizing this planet. It was called, I think it might have been called, I don't remember the name of it, but I know that it was for the colonization of the planet called Centurion 5. It's actually called Ilaria, but we call it Centurion 5. And a lot of the kids, and there's also, interestingly enough, I feel weird about saying this information, because I don't want people to find the school. I don't want people to make threats. None of the teachers know what's going on. They're all under mind and control. So if you do the research and figure out what school it is, please leave these people alone. They're wonderful, nice people. I loved working for them. They had no idea what was going on. There was maybe one or two people that would come to the school, or like actual like CIA MK people who knew what was going on. And I just want people to reiterate that these people are innocent, and I don't want anybody like looking into them, calling the school, anything. But basically, the school, they had a mascot. It was the koalas. But what it was Mars Defense Force. So I was training the kids underneath the school to use their psychic abilities to prepare them to be used for combat, so that they could make super soldiers, basically. So on Earth, I was training them on how to use their psychic abilities, remote view, things like that. I was a trainer. I wasn't the only one. I think there were 3 or 4 of us. And also, it's important to mention that underneath this school, there's a portal to Australia. There's another school in Australia that's connected to this school in America, where there are also children who are super soldiers who are being funneled into this program. I don't know what school it is. I don't remember, but I do remember that there's a portal underneath this school that's a portal to Australia. There's also portals there to 5 different other alternate realities underneath this school. So what they do in these programs a lot, because so many of us are remembering, is they will swap with alternate realities. So I've been sent to alternate realities a lot, so that when I come back, the intel that I have when I go on the internet, nobody can skim me for intel by watching my YouTube channels, because it's all in an alternate reality, and you'd have to figuring out what reality I would even be in is hard enough. So you have to remember, a lot of times when you're hearing SSP whistleblowers, that their testimony is conflicting. Every once in a while, it's because of manufactured memories. Sometimes there are people who are liars. They're not real. They're fakes. Or sometimes they remember alternate realities. Like, for instance, John Charles Moyen. He's a whistleblower. He talks about Solar Warden, and it sounds like a very positive experience. Maybe that sounds like an alternate reality to me. I'm not saying it is. Maybe it is in this reality, and I was in an alternate reality in Solar Ward. You see what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is they do this to confuse the issue. They do this so that our I want to bring that up. But basically, these kids, when they're brought into this alternate program, they're then called the marsupials. Get it? Marsupials. So it made them feel special. It made them feel like they're chosen. But you got to keep in mind, all these kids, like I was when I was a kid funneling these programs, I was memory wiped. So none of these kids remember any of this stuff. But I remember there were teachers at that school that I remember being put in giant bodies with like suits that had lasers on them and cutting down because it was a jungle planet. I remember destroying like miles and miles of forest, fighting dinosaurs and stuff with these teachers and things like that. The school, if I told these people, hey, we were on another planet fighting dinosaurs, they'd say, you are literally batshit insane, buddy. Take some medication. Yeah. That's what they tell you. Like, but I'm telling you, it happened. It's real. Like, they're just not awake. You know what I mean? But yeah, so, and I want to reiterate, if you please don't look into these people and find them. Like, I had somebody do that one time. Like, and they were nice. They were smart enough. They didn't like call the school or anything, but it just freaked me out that somebody was able to extrapolate the exact school I was talking about by. And I just want to reiterate that these were all really nice people. They don't know what's going on. And yeah, so, but that's a big part of my story, honestly, is the fact that they've continued to use me. And so then there was another clone of me on Mars. And Mars Defense Forces, where they train pretty much all, like, I'm sure that there might be other outposts, but a lot of the people that get trained for Mars Defense Force or get trained for the space military, they bring them to Mars to do the training. And how they do it is there's 4 different teams that they set them up with. So think of like Harry Potter, right? The different houses. It reminds me a lot of like that. So we were the marsupials, and then there was the serpents, and then there was like the mammalians, and then there was something else. And basically we would do mock exercises and mock military exercises with each other to on the surface of Mars. So that's how we trained each other. And we pitted each other against each other, and there's a winner every night. And I remember a clone of Tom Cruise was one of the guys who was training the other children. He was the head of the Serpents or whatever. So like I know Tom Cruise. I know him as Gabriel Kruger. I remember an alternate reality where he was the president of the United States. He's a head of Kruger Corporation, which is a time corporation. But I remember working for him as a bodyguard in an alternate reality where he was the president of the United States. He's an extremely psychotic guy, extremely volatile, Tom Cruise. And I am pretty certain that is Gabriel Kruger. He remembers the alternate reality, and he's here just having fun, being a big playboy movie star and just having a good time. Like, I think that is Gabriel Kruger. Like, I think he remembers. Maybe not. I might be wrong, but I think he's here just having a good time, being a millionaire movie actor. Like,
well, I mean, the fact that he's so highly entrenched in Scientology, which we well know is nothing good, it would make sense that he's certainly connected to, call it those realms, yeah?
Yeah. The rounds? Are you talking about, using
alternate realities, Roddy? The alternate realities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they call them, what they call them, because in these programs, it's a time bubble. So they create like this weird thing where like time slowed down because it's easier to alter the timeline from a time bubble. And so when they do these switches where they trade assets, like a version of Arkhiem from another reality, they do a trade. They call it a bubble swap. That's what it's called. The military term for
bubble swap.
A bubble swap.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So just explain that to me in detail, please, a bubble swap. Can we just go there again?
Yeah, sure. So basically, let's say there's reality 1-1. Maybe writing it down would help. I don't know if I have a pen by me. Oh, whatever. Let's say we're in reality 1138A, and then there's one reality 1138B, which is a slightly different reality. Okay?
Right.
So they're very similar realities. They're very close because it's an A and a B. And that's the thing that they'll be A, B, C, and they try to keep it as small as possible. But there's sometimes they'll be like our reality right now. I think there's 2. There maybe for a while there's 5. I think it's shrunk down to 2 now. There's 2. But they're side by side and they can merge in and out of each other. Timelines can do that. Like timelines can merge and then unmerge, and like people. Yes. That's one thing that people Some people don't understand. But basically what they do is they'll phone over the other timeline and they'll say, hey, our Arkhiem over here is having memories. And if we put him in this program, he's going to go on his YouTube and tell people about what's going on. And we can't have that. Can you switch? Can we do a switch? And no cost. There's no money. They don't have to pay each other. It's something that they all agreed to do with each other to help each other. And so they'll just do a swap. And it's me. Like, and that's another thing that's hard for people to understand too, is every alternate version of me is me. We're all like, just like every alternate version of you is you. You know, you talk about your higher self. Your higher self is connected to all those different versions of you. You know what I mean? Yes. So like every alternate version of you is you. So it's really confusing when you talk about this stuff. You were also asking earlier about the clone. Like, well, does the clone have a soul? What goes on with the clone? And I can explain that too. Like, yes, a clone body does have, every body, when you make a body, just naturally has consciousness in it, which is your soul. Your soul's consciousness. But what it is it's like a baby consciousness that you push to the bottom of the mind. You push it away, right? And you take over, and you just don't have to push that consciousness down, which is your consciousness, a copy of your consciousness, a baby form of your consciousness that never had experiences, but it's your consciousness. And that's the reason.
Sorry, if you don't mind, I just want to chime in here and say, and just let the viewers know about this baby soul that we just spoke about before. Excuse me. I asked Arkhiem what he meant when he said a baby soul. Like, what is it, like a part of the God seed or what? And then what he explained to me, and maybe you can explain it further if there's any room for explanation, is that the soul is actually a replica of your own soul. So they've carbon copied it.
It's you. It's hard to explain because it is you, but it's not you. So, basically the reason why they do 20 in backs, and you know how, like Tony Rodriguez, big whistleblower, right? He's a pioneer. He talked about how they give psychological evaluations and how after 20 years they put you back because it's, you for whatever reason psychologically you can't do it anymore. That's why. It's because the clone consciousness starts coming to the front and you literally go insane from it. So that's why in the programs, that's why it's 20 in backs. But one thing that I need to understand, people to understand, which they won't hear from many other whistleblowers, is it's not just 20 in backs. They will use you for as long as you can. It depends on your psyche and how much your psyche can handle. They do a mental evaluation of you every week. If it looks like you might be in decline, they might do it every few days or so to check on you and make sure you're okay. But basically, they'll use you as long as your mental faculties stay in place. 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 60 years. And then there's also programs where they'll put you into cyborg bodies that live artificially for hundreds, if not thousands of years. So it's not only 20 in backs. There's different. And they've also put me in entire lifetimes. That's another thing that they do is like they'll put you into a mother through a surrogate, like they'll implant through abducting the mother. They'll put your semen in. They'll impregnate her. The mom and dad have been, copulating, so they're like, oh, looks like she's pregnant. It's not weird to them, and then that's how they infiltrate a lot of the times, and they call it monarch programming because I've done missions in lives where I didn't even know I was on a mission. I did not know the entire time. I was subconsciously programmed in the same way where a monarch butterfly, when it comes out of the cocoon, knows exactly where to go, knows exactly what to do. It knows how to migrate, all that stuff. Its mother doesn't need to teach them these things. It's programmed. It's encoded. That's why it's called monarch programming. And that's what it's relating to is people who are programmed to do things who have no conscious memory of it, who do not know that they're programmed, who do not know that they're assets. That's what that's what that has to do with. And so I've seen timelines where I've had a life and I'm living life and then all of a sudden some guy comes through. Like, I'll give you a story. I'm gonna tell you guys, but you were gonna like this story. This is an insane story. It's in my book, Time and Space Unlimited, which is on Amazon, by the way, for people who are interested in knowing more about my story after these interviews. But basically, do you mind if I tell a story to kind of illustrate how?
No, please go ahead, please. Yeah.
So this is an alternate timeline, and this is an alternate timeline where Hillary Clinton was president, and basically, we found out through the Montauk Project that another group of military scientists that were not connected to us We're trying to create portal technology. And we were trying to portal in there and basically be like, you can't do this, and be like threaten them and basically stop them from doing it. But they had a Faraday around the base. Los Alamos base has some sort of strange technology that you can't portal into it. It doesn't work. Like, they've put up some sort of block. So what we did in order to infiltrate Los Alamos base and stop them from creating portal technology is they put me and Joseph Powell, who is another Montauk whistleblower. He was part of the project. He's here in the here and now, and he remembers this too. We remember this together. Basically, they put us in this life where we grew up and we wanted to be scientists. We both became scientists. We became friends, and we worked at Los Alamos, and we're working on portal technology. And this was all we just thought was a normal life. We had no idea what was going on. We just thought we were scientists. We just thought we were these two scientists that wanted to push the limits of science and got our dream job, right? That's what we thought was going on. And we were working on portal stuff. And meanwhile, in the background, our altars, meaning like, so this was like an altar we made to do the project, to do this particular program. But in the background, Jacob was there the whole time, ready to strike like a fucking panther. Like he was waiting for the right moment to open up, to shut down the Faraday, open a portal. Okay. And so basically, I'm going to describe it from their perspective instead of Jacob's perspective, because it really illustrates how crazy these fucking programs are. So these guys get up for work one day to go to Los Alamos. They're living now, like somewhere in Arizona or wherever. Or no, was it Arizona? It's not. Los Alamos is in New Mexico. I think we were from Arizona or whatever. Doesn't matter. We wake up one day. We're going to work. The car's not in the garage. Someone stole our car. And Joseph is like, that's weird. I had a dream last night about crashing my car. And so I think what the Montauk planners thought we would do is they thought we would call the police because our car got stolen. But it was the big day. We were supposed to turn on the portal that day. And that was such a big deal to us that we're like, fuck the car, like insurance will take care of it. We just got a ride with our neighbor. We were like, hey, can you give us a ride or whatever? This neighbor guy, we knew that he would come over and like play video games with us and sometimes and stuff. And he's like, yeah, I can help you out. Yeah, like I can give you a ride to work. That's crazy. Your car got stolen. We just explained to him it's big day at work. He's like, are you gonna deal with that? We're like, big day at work. He's like, what are you guys doing? We're like, can't talk about it. Non-disclosure agreement, but it's really important. We're at work today. And on the way there, we see Joseph's car crashed with our dead bodies inside it. Like, can you imagine? We're like, what the fuck? And they're like, and so the guy driving us is like, what the? Okay, non-disclosure agreements aside, what the fuck are you guys doing at this fucking laboratory? What is going on? And we're like, we're building portal technology. We're opening portals into other realities and stuff. And going back in time and things like that. That's what we're trying to build, a machine that can do that. And he's like, dude, oh my God. He's like, holy, this is crazy. And we're like, we're like, what is going on? Because we still didn't remember Montauk. We still were just normal guys, Monarch programs, not knowing what's going on. So we decide we're not going to go back to our apartment because they'll find us. We're going to leave everything there. We're making lots of money as these guys. We didn't have kids. We lived really, really simple lives. We had saved a lot of cash. So we went to the bank, drew out all of our money. We're just like, we need to draw it all out cash. And we basically got an apartment somewhere in the middle of the desert in either Arizona or New Mexico or wherever, somewhere in the middle of nowhere, because we didn't want to be found. And we were there for maybe 3 months. And then all of a sudden, we're sitting on, and our neighbor moved with us. He was scared for his life because he was with us and because of what he saw. So he lived with us. This guy, we moved him out of wherever he was living too. And we're just like, just stay with us. They're going to ask you what you saw. You saw too much. They're going to fucking kill you, dude. We told him that. And he's just like, all right, we're going to stay. So he stayed with us. So one day, we're hanging out. We're fucking playing video games. Like, just do not another normal day, laying low. And all of a sudden, we get a boom, 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 boom on the door. And they're like, temporal authority, open up. And we're like, just like trying to be quiet and act like we're not there. And like, boom, 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 boom. This is the temporal authority. Either let us in or we're going to break your door down. So we open up the door and they come in and it's these fucking 5 guys in like black tactical suits. 2 of them have body bags. And we're just like, what is going on right now? Like, and they're like, don't worry, don't worry, it's all gonna make sense when you get back to base. And we're like, what? Back to base? And he says to Joseph Paul, he's like, don't worry, Commander, it's gonna make sense when you get back to base. Well, it'll all come back when you get back to base. He's like, why are you calling me Commander? I'm not your what the hell is going on right now? Commander. And I'm like the same thing. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And this guy has a backpack on, right? He takes it off. He's got this, like, it looks like a stack, like a link, like a chain link. It's like stacked. And he takes it out and he starts putting it on the wall. Like and building this doorway. He's like, don't worry, guys. It's all going to make sense when you get back to base. Now, whatever you do not look to your right. So, of course, as a human being, you look to your right. And he's unzipping the body bags. And once again, it's our fucking dead bodies. It's like clone dead bodies of us. And at this point, we are screaming. We are literally all screaming at each other. We're like, what the fuck is happening? Who the fuck are you people? And they're like, calm down, Commander. Calm down, soldier. It'll all make sense when you get back to base. And they just turn on this portal. Like this blue fucking beam light turns on. They walk us through. We're in this room that like has speakers in it. It plays these tones at us. Like, it's like, whoa, and it like vibrates through your whole body. And all of a sudden, your consciousness trades and it makes you disoriented because your Jacob's coming to the surface and John or Paul or whatever the hell I named myself for this mission is going to the back. And it literally makes you so disoriented. You fall over, you fall on the ground, and then you start puking. And then welcome back to Camp Hero, soldier. You did your job. You succeeded in the mission. You want to know what happened on the other side? A time display. I opened up a portal, and then a time displaced version of me went in there with a rifle and just started killing all the scientists. That was one of the first memories that I ever got back of the Montauk Project. I did not remember why. All I remembered was being handed a gun. I mean, like, I don't want to do this. They're innocent. They're just scientists. Like, he's like, doesn't matter. They're working for evil people. And we need to stop them from these evil people. You need to go through there, and you need. Which, by the way, Montauk Project was evil, but
yeah, I was about to say, were the people really evil? Were they really evil?
I think this might have been. So there was a time where, and this is very confusing. There's a lot to the story, but basically, the Junior incident is something that people hear about a lot. Like the Junior incident, where like a monster like tore up the base. We took over the base for a very short amount of time after that, and we did some missions on our own, and it might have been that. All I know is we were successful with our mission. They did not open the portal, and yeah, that's just an example. And then I've done the thing too where I go through a portal, because sometimes they do remember. Sometimes you need to remember everything in order to do your job effectively, because you might need to adapt to change. You might need, like, things might change. So you'll go in there with memories and live a whole life knowing you're a time soldier, right? And those are the hardest extractions, because I'll go in there and I'll be like, all right, soldier. I'll come in through a portal and be like, all right, soldier, you did your job. Time to go home. And they'll be like, but I have kids. I have 2 daughters and a son. Yeah, well, it's time to go home. I didn't tell you to make babies. That's your own fucking decision. It's time to go home. And they'd be like, why can't I just live out my life here until I die, and then you can come get me? I'm like, that's not how this works. You did your job. Now it's time to get back to work, asshole. And they'd be like, no, I'm not. When I've literally had to fight people to the death and drag them back to Montauk. Like, I've literally, like, we've literally had to go in there with like 5 or 6 people to grab one guy, because we know they're gonna fucking try to kill us for trying to extract them. Like, they do not want to go back to hell. They don't want to go back to Montauk. So like it's wow. Just the shit I've seen is absolutely insane. I've seen stuff like, I have memories of there being, you know, the Alien versus Predator, the aliens. I have a memory of there being a temple, one of those sitting on a throne, and hundreds of me's, copies of me, raiding this temple. And every time they killed me, a portal opened and another me popped out. Like, we have that technology. Like, they have the technology to where, Like there's been like one of the memories I have is going to some guy's mansion to kill him, and like I'm fighting him to the death, and he actually gets me. He's on top of me, and he fucking stabs me. And then 2 seconds later, and a portal opens up. It's me with a pistol, and I just shoot him in the head. Like it's literally like a video game. When you die, you just respawn. They have what it's called the Phoenix Chamber, and it's a chamber of a bunch of clones. You wake up in the other clone body. It shows it in Rick and Morty. You wake up in the other clone body, and then you just get up. You fucking go right back in there, and you do your job. And some of these places have like I remember there being a giant room full of clones of me in these Phoenix chambers.
So how does, let's say this clone of you gets killed by whoever, how does the other clone know it's got to be activated? How, and which clone
you just wake
knows
up and you just wake up in a clone body as you. The clone body's in a tube, ready. It's got some sort of technology interface with it to suck your soul. Like I don't know how they do it, but you can be in an alternate reality and your soul will still go back to that Phoenix chamber. I don't know how they do it, but it's very advanced technology. It's probably alien technology.
But that exactly, I was going to say that I mean, that is way off-worldly. I mean, but we know now that most of the stuff, in fact, everything, all this.
I just literally just like blasted you with all the most insane testimony that I have. And
I love it. I mean, I'm blown away. You got to know. I mean, and I believe you. I believe every word you're telling me. It's actually quite amazing because. So I want to go back to the guy that killed you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he stabs you, you die, another clone gets reactivated, comes through a portal with a gun and shoots him.
Yep.
So, wow. I mean, wow.
I could tell you another example of a mission that I was doing and how they can use this technology. There was a breakaway planet that a company called Arasaka Corporation was trying to infiltrate their timeline. And so what Arasaka will do is they'll literally take over planets by replacing their leaders with robots that look exactly like them. Arasaka Corporation does this. They don't exist yet technically, but they have time bubbles, so they're time travelers. They do technically exist, even though they don't exist yet. If that makes any sense. But basically, yeah, so there's this planet where they're replacing all of their leaders and stuff like that with robots so they could control their government and their economy, basically. And the police were figuring that out. There's detectives that were figuring out that they're literally replacing people with robots. Like they were onto us. And so I infiltrated. I was put there as a detective, literally working on the case of trying to figure out like who's building these robots, where are these people coming from. So I was a mole. I was a narc, because I was actually working for Arasaka Corporation. Here they're trying to figure out all this stuff. I know all of it. Everything they're trying to figure out, I know every little fucking detail. And I'm sabotaging them every step of the way. Well, one day, they have these things where you can hook up to the bed. And it's a breakaway planet. The technology is insane there, right? Like, they have advanced technology there. They have this thing where they can hook up to your back of your brain. And you can upload programs into your mind and learn things just by putting like in the Matrix, like literally just like in the Matrix. And I was lying there doing that. And and in these programs, I'm extremely psychic. I can sense danger, and I could sense that they're all surrounding me. That basically a raid was happening of my home, right? And but there wasn't anything I could do because I was in the middle of upload. If you unplug in the middle of an upload, you die. It'll kill you. So I had to let it go through. So then I woke up. And then when I wake up, they're just like, oh, hello, Mr. I can't remember what my last name. I'll just say Anderson. That wasn't it, but they're like, well, hello, Mr. Anderson. It's nice to see you. So I'm like, oh, so I'm guessing that I'm guessing that you found out who my colleagues are, is what I said to them. They're like, yeah, we found out a lot of stuff about you. You're going to have to come with us and answer some questions. And so I remember they brought me to an interrogation room. And I was in the interrogation room being interrogated by them, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not answering any questions. Like, fuck you. And they're like, all right, well, we're just gonna get this machine that's gonna scan your brain and do the stuff to your brain that'll make you. We're gonna get the information out of you one way or another. So hold on a second while we do this. So they left the room, and there was like 4 or 5 of them, and I was left alone with one guy. I had a necklace on that looked sort of like this necklace. It was like some sort of decorative necklace, but this right here was actually filled with a poison. And it looked like it was just a necklace, but it wasn't. And I basically bit into it and killed myself. Then I woke up in a phoenix chamber, and I typed in I basically typed in, and then I went to my home, and get this. So the head of Arasaka Corporation, which it was one of them. And if it wasn't the very head, it was like really close to the top. She was my wife, my fake wife in this program. And what she was, so she was an automaton clone. She didn't want to deal with the mission, but she wanted to always literally be there so I could report to her. And so what I would say, see, there's literally a code I would say, honey, it's time to bring out the fine china. And it would activate her, and her actual version of her would come through, and she'd be like, and then she'd be like, what's going on? And I basically tell her, like, I'd tell her, like, oh, this happened, blah, blah, blah. And she'd give me orders. She'd tell me what to do. And so I did that. I went back to the house, and I did that. And I was like, hey, they found us out. We got to go. And all we did to leave is kill ourselves. We're untraceable. Like her clone body just killed herself, and I killed myself. And then we woke up on a spaceship or whatever. And that was it. How the fuck are you supposed to find us? Like, you're not gonna find us. Like, you have to realize how crazy these projects get. They're insane. It's nuts, dude. Like, and there's a reason why I am, like I said, there's a reason why I think, like, I can't figure out why I'm in this life, but I think I just wanted to live a normal life. They show it in Inside Job. Get this. I'm from Appleton, Wisconsin, right? There's this show called Inside Job where they show you there's like underground bases, time travel, all of it. They show it you as like, it's a joke, how funny, but it's disclosure. And the last episode of the show is literally called Appleton, Wisconsin, which is the town I'm from. And it shows how they wipe their memories because they want to live normal lives. And they go to Appleton, Wisconsin because they think that they won't be found there. That's literally the premise of the episode. Truth in plain sight.
So when the clone body dies, like you kill yourself, right? Or you unalive yourself, and you wake up in another reality or in another body, that clone body, is it normal? Does it just lay there? Is it like dead body that goes to the mortuary now? What happens to it? Or does it disappear? What happens?
Well, we were on the surface of this planet, which was called like Arikana 5 or Arikana 8 or something like that. Arikana was the name of the planet, I think. And yeah, how it would have happened is that we killed ourselves, so the bodies were just been there, and I'm sure the police came and brought them to the morgue or whatever. But yeah, they just thought I was a detective. They did not. My wife, like, the whole reason why I was honey bring up the fine china is so if people came to my house, because she was literally like she was there, but she wasn't there. She's like practically drooling, just so her consciousness could have a way to come to where I was and talk to me. Because you got to keep in mind, if we did it over a phone or something, they could infiltrate that. But her literally showing up, her soul, like, that's why they use this kind of technology. It's unfucking traceable. Like, and so yeah, how that would have happened is that the cops probably would have like showed up and like found another clone body of me and been real confused about that because I already killed myself at their little detective place. And yeah, so like, yeah, it's I unalive myself, sorry. But
it's okay. It's no problem whatsoever. Wow. So I want to just go back to something you were saying earlier, like right at the beginning, when you said you are from a bird tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And you got stuck.
I think they call the Choctauri. The Choctauri is what we.
Can you spell that for me?
CHOK, and then space TORI.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you are from the bird, and I fully believe that you are part of because I believe human DNA is created from a whole lot of DNAs put together, for sure. My opinion. And if you're saying you were part of, that you're part of the race that created the human being, you came down here, you got stuck here.
Mm-hmm.
Can you?
It was a whole crazy part of history. There was a galactic vote on it in the Galactic Council whether we should create humans. I would say that corruption was the only reason why the vote went through in the first place, and it was a huge mistake creating humans. And we were wrong to ever do it. It's a huge mistake that we made. But at the same time, I mean, I love humanity, but when we said that it was a mistake, we were right. Like, you got to understand what human beings are doing. We are Christopher Columbusing the entire galaxy. We are going to other planets and saying, this is ours now. We are genocidal maniacs. Seriously. I can't understate it. I'm like I want humanity to thrive. I want us to be free. I know that we can be peaceful beings and we can do good. But what these programs do, these black ops programs, these military programs, they're all colonizers. All of it. That's all it is. It's just colonization, period. And when you see colonization here on Earth, where they come through, they're raping people, they're killing people. This is ours now. Fuck you. That's how we do it. It's really sad. The things that I've done, I am absolutely, to say I'm ashamed of them is an understatement. Like, so many things that I've been forced to do that I would have never done, like the colonization of Mars, for instance, like, which, by the way, we're kicked off of that's interesting. I'll have to look into that, because I know some Native American tribes are connected to like bird people and stuff, so I'll have to look into that. I'll be real, like I do not remember more than I do remember so far when it comes to the bird people that I come from. Like, even the name, the Choctauri, I got that from somebody else who remembered it. I'm remembering her name right. I'm spacing on her name, but the great description. Yeah, Christopher Columbus. And yeah, that is what we're doing, though, and it's sad. And that's why a lot of ET really don't like humans. And another thing that people need to understand too is when people are like, "Oh, why don't we have med beds? Why don't they get, like, they're hiding the med beds from us? We want med beds." Okay, let's examine this. You want to know how we got the med beds? Palladian forces came here. Palladian military forces came here to raid bases and take children that were going to be used for the programs, just to rescue them, basically. They got infiltrated. We went on their ships and took their regeneration tubes and stuff like that and killed them all.
Pleiadians.
Yeah, the
You took from the Pleiadians.
Yes, we took their technology, and now that is how we created the regeneration chambers for the super soldier programs that they use to make people live forever and do 20 in backs. And like, when you come back from a battle and like your body's blown to smithereens and they put you in there and it just regenerates you, that's Palladian technology that we took. And they're like,
who's we?
United Joint Navy Space Fleet, which is basically the space military of NATO.
So this this makes a lot of sense to me. So Pleiadians, I understand, obviously Pleiadians, also there's the light and the dark of the Pleiadians. But of course, if you're saying the Pleiadian military base was
which the Pleiadians is like a whole galaxy. So yeah, there's all these different groups, but it was this group of positive Pleiadians that came in.
Yes.
They wanted to rescue, because they knew that some of them were like positive, beautiful, like starseed souls that were going to get inverted. And some of them were literally their people, like Palladian, who were here. And they're like, oh, we got to rescue them. And they did not expect us to be so brutal, go on their ship, kill them all, take their technology, and now we use it for the super soldier program. So when people are like, why won't ET let us have this technology? We do have this technology already, and our military is hiding us from it and abusing it. It's not Palladians or any group of ET hiding it from us. It's our own government. Because think about it, it changes things for everyone. People, they want the way they want things set up is they want the elite to live forever through the aid of technology, while they have a workforce that keeps on having to die and reincarnate and not remember, so that they can have all the control and power over them. James? Who were you talking about, James? James Rink? Those were the Andromedans. And that's also a whole galaxy, and also is really oversimplifying. You know, they're probably from a planet, not you know what I mean, not the whole galaxy of Andromeda, or the area of Andromeda. But yeah, the anime Dragon Ball also gives tons of disclosure, is one of the comments. Yes, Red Ribbon is real, is what one of my clones or one of my alters came through and told me. Red Ribbon is real. That's how I got the memories back of Arasaka Corporation. And Red Ribbon, is interchange. Arasaka Corporation is Red Ribbon. They build robot armies. They literally, like I said, they will take over planets by replacing their leaders with robots, like by killing them and replacing them. Like, yeah, it's crazy. Like, it's wild.
Wow. Wow. So that actually makes a lot of sense. I'm just like still thinking about the medbed story here, because that would definitely be Pleiadian technology for sure. And as you say, there's the positive force Pleiadians who would have created that really as a betterment for humanity. But of course, then it's
supposed to be used for healing, for like if people are hurt, if people have cancer, this or that. Not like, oh, go into battle, and when you come back, it's just literally like they can put like your head into the thing and then regenerate you. You know the stories of Valkyrie. You know about that.
Yes.
The stories of Valhalla, how a golden ship appeared and warriors wearing golden armor came out and grabbed all the heads from the battlefield to bring them to Valhalla. That was the German Nachtwaffen military grabbing people to bring to the colonies, regenerating them to colonize planets, saying, hey, waking them up in a regeneration thing and being like, hey, welcome to the afterlife. Like, you want to come build a new life and a new world away from your enemies, basically. Like, so like the stories of Valhalla, of Valkyrie, are literally the German space fleet going back in time and grabbing heads off the battlefield to throw them into regeneration chambers to use them for their programs. Seriously. And these people make perfect colonists, because these people are from back in time. They're not used to having electricity. They're not used to having running water, all that stuff. So they use these type of people to colonize, to be the first people who show up a lot of the times. The Germans aren't. I don't think the Germans are in Antarctica right now. I believe they're on the moon of Titan. I don't think.
What are they doing there? What are they doing there?
They got kicked out. They got their asses handed to them and kicked off of Mars, and that's where they are now. According to the testimony of Jack Flynn and John Whitberg, who are two people that I served with, check out Do You Hear the People Sing by John Whitberg. He did an interview with Jack Flynn where they explain in detail the history of Mars and where they're at right now. And basically, yeah, they fought back hard. We went there and we did the blitzkriegs. You know what I'm talking about? The German blitzkriegs, where you go in there and you just bomb everything and you just take no names and you're just merciless. We did that with them, and we still lost. They kicked us off their planet. That's what I'm hearing right now. Is we're kicked off Mars, and most of the German military, as far as this part of the galaxy, this part of in the solar system, they're stationed on Titan now, the moon of Titan.
Y'all, I hope you all is blown. I mean, I hope I'm not the only one that is blown away as what I am by this. I mean, I know I'm relatively new to this game, but this is absolutely fascinating, Arkhiel. And it's like, I so resonate with what you're saying. It's so true. It's like what you're saying. It absolutely resonates. It's absolutely unbelievable, actually. Question: where is Mars?
You can see it in the sky through a telescope. It's right there.
Okay, so it's not somewhere inside, under, wrapped up in Earth.
No,
it's.
I don't know where that comes from. I will say another thing too about Mars. A lot of people who get memories of desert planets think they're on Mars. There's so many desert planets. One of them's called Angua. That's one, Angua, planet Angua. There's tons of desert planets, and they're all very similar. Lots of giant bugs on them, most of them.
So I was about to say, so if we're looking at these, I'm assuming when you talk about a desert planet, you're talking about a planet that is obviously dry. There's no water. So
there's water. There's water. Even Mars.
Minimal.
Even Mars is lots of desert, but they have what are called the green belts, which are towards the in between the poles and the equator. There's a area that's a green belt, and there's actually green on Mars and vegetation and stuff like that. And the photos that you see from NASA, they literally put a red filter on them. They're all doctored. This has been proven. There's technology that shows all the photos they show you of Mars are doctored. They're even able to show that they take out parts of the images and then copy paste other parts on over them to cover things up. There is life on Mars, big time, lots of life on Mars. Most of it lives underneath the surface, or a lot of it lives underneath the surface, because there was a cataclysm on Mars. Didn't used to be a desert planet. It got turned into a desert planet because of warfare and stuff like that. But yeah.
Wow. So just someone again is asking, isn't the underground areas called Mars and the Moon? That's very possible, because I mean, I don't know what your take is on that, because we hear, you know, there's lots of conflicting information.
Think about, no, it's not conflicting. Think about it. You go to New York and you go to Chinatown. Same thing. Same thing. It's just an underground area, an underground base where it's like Mars, because Martians visit there and they want to make them feel comfortable for when they come here and visit Earth. Think about it, you people. That happens all the time in this community. We're like, wait, these facts are conflicting. They're actually not at all. They're not conflicting. Like, think about it. Chinatown. Like, all the people, they're from China. The signs are in Chinese. There's all sorts of Chinese food around, so they feel comfortable. There's probably underground areas of the bases and stuff like that where they have Martian workers and stuff like that, and they want them to feel comfortable. So that makes all the freaking sense in the world, actually.
Because what I was seeing the other day, actually, you know, with Elon, and speaking about Elon and his colonization of Mars, what they're saying, he's got these big robot things setting up these camps or whatever it is in igloo shapes. And I can't remember the temperature, but it would have to be sorted for you. And they're growing things hydroponically. What is your take on that?
The native Martians do live in igloo-like huts. I don't know, that's what their homes look like. Like I said, this is already old. We already got kicked off of Mars. That's how fucking wrong the intel is. That's when people are saying Elon's going to take Mars. Not trying to be rude to anybody, but that is literally CIA propaganda. We're already in the stars. We're already out there. We are littered throughout the galaxy. You can't fucking get rid of us. Like, you have to understand how this works. Like, there'll be a planet. Let's say there's just like a random planet of like some lizard men, right? They're lizard men, lizard people. Obviously got women too, whatever. Lizard people. All of a sudden one day they're like, hey, there's a small human colony in the forest of Nibora. What the heck? That's kind of weird. That just showed up overnight. Next day, oh, now they have the whole continent of Nibora. Like, we literally, through time travel, within 3 days, your planet's not yours anymore, and you're our slaves. That's what we do. Like Aurelia, I remember Aurelia. We called it Centurion 5. We literally took that planet from its own people and turned them into our slaves. That's what we fucking do. And that's why I'm a whistleblower. Not to fucking jerk off Donald Trump, like to tell people the truth about these colonization programs and what's going on.
Wow. Now, I'm with you on that, and I so appreciate that. This is amazing. Let's go back to Mars and Elon. I want to just go there for a minute. And I know there's so much in my mind, and I know everyone has a lot of questions as well. And so I'm just going to let's go back to Mars. Let's go back to Elon. And I know I heard you on Jessica's show a little while back speak about your experience with Elon.
Yeah, there's a reason why I do shows with Jessica, is because, you know, a lot of these SSP people, we can just go on the internet and say whatever we want. Well, I verify that this stuff is real through Jessica. I give her blind targets. And I gave her the blind target of the cloning facility on the surface of Venus, which is in a base in the sky, obviously. And she confirmed that it's real. She confirmed that, you know, that it's a real place, but it appeared to be in an alternate reality. So that is an aspect to keep in mind. So, but yeah, I don't believe for a minute that Elon Musk is gonna help humanity, or that wants anything good for humanity. I believe that he's trying to create Roko's Basilisk, which is basically an omnipresent AI in the future, which controls every aspect of humanity. And through the Montauk Project, I have actually seen this future. I lived a life in this future. The song "The Sound of Silence" was written by Sergeant Stan Gunnery Mulgrave about this future, warning humanity about this future. So when you listen to "The Sound of Silence," people, after this interview, listen to that song, listen to the lyrics. You can't deny it. It's about a future with an AI god where they're all neural linked, so they don't talk. There's no speaking anymore. And that's why he's talking about how they got their humanity stripped from them. When they talk about and the words of the prophets were written on the walls and stuff, that's like graffiti saying, you were mind controlled by a computer, like stuff like that. Like we would come portal in and do that. And we had this whole era where Montauk was trying to circumvent that future and make it not happen. There's a whole thing where even the bad guys of Montauk did not want that negative future. That's how bad it was. Sorry, I go on little tangents sometimes.
No. I go on your tangent. I am so happy for that. My mind is blown here.
So when he talks about, can you hear the people sing? John Whitberg is my brother. He's my half brother. Carl Emmerman is both of our fathers. So we're both in these programs. We're both put into this life. So John Whitberg is literally biologically my half brother. So there's a reason why our testimony lines up. We've experienced a lot of the same things.
Right. Wow. Gosh, I mean, when you say we, and you talk about the planets and stuff that you were involved in destroying and colonizing, etc., who is the we there that was doing that?
There's all sorts of different forces. One of them would be Nachtwaffen, which is the German space fleet. Then there's another one, which is the Nazis, which is not the. So in the German Empire, the German Federation of Planets, which is I think over 10,000 worlds and colonies on asteroids and things like that too. They teach that Hitler betrayed Germany and all this stuff. So like a lot of people think that like the Germans are all Nazis in space. They're actually not. It's like the German Empire of like the German royalty that like existed for a really long time and stuff like that. They're totally different. And like I said, they actually say that Hitler was a traitor. But there are Nazi colonies as well. They're different. It's not the same thing. I bet John Whitberg would actually probably go into detail on that better than me. His memory is probably a lot more clear. But I do remember that like 100%, like the German breakaway worlds and the Nazis, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. But I do believe there are not like literally like Nazi colonies out there and stuff like that. Like I'm pretty sure there is a planet where like Adolf Hitler is alive right now and he's like the ruler of the entire planet. Like I'm pretty sure it's they call it New Berlin, I think maybe even. I'm not sure, but like I'm pretty sure that's a thing because I have like vague memories of that. And it could be an alternate reality too, but I've heard other people talk about that. Like I personally, because these leaders, they live through the aid of technology, don't think Hitler's dead. He's somewhere out there in the colonies. The Kennedys, John F. Kennedy, stuff like that, he's somewhere out there in the colonies. Marilyn Monroe, she's in the colonies. Like a lot of these people that you think are gone, they're still alive.
Yeah, is that what they keep saying? I mean, Princess Diana, there's a big thing that Princess Diana is still alive. What's your take on that?
She probably is. I have a feeling that like I know her. There's no memories of it. I just have an instinctual feeling that I know her, and she's a very nice person. And yeah, you guys all know what happened, right? She slept with the horse instructor. She was pregnant, so they killed her. That's everybody knows that, right? They killed her because she got pregnant by her horse instructor, and that would have been too much of a stain on the royal family for them to allow to happen. So they murdered her.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
There is a New Berlin, Wisconsin. It's actually where they make Spotted Cow, which is some pretty good beer. It's a famous Wisconsin beer. Yeah, New Berlin, Wisconsin. And then there's New London as well. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on in Wisconsin. So Appleton, Wisconsin is the drunkest city in the United States. It has we drink more alcohol than anybody in the country. Like literally, it's like number one on the list. And the reason why is because so many of these people are super soldiers who are burying their trauma. That's seriously why. Yep. And they don't have any memory. They don't have any memories of it, but they have the emotional trauma still, and they're trying to cover it up.
Wow, that's amazing. And you can see through that, right? I think that's probably one of the big reasons they create alcohol. I kid you not, because again, I mean, if I just look here in this country, and I'm not even talking about space programs and things, but I talk about the PTSD the guys have had from the Bush wars and stuff. Mm-hmm. They will be completely fine, and you'll think that everything is good. Just give them a couple of glasses of brandy or whatever it is, and man, you see the monsters and the demons come out then. And I'm sure alcohol, I would be interested to know your take on alcohol, actually. I mean,
you need to consciously, it's like a lot of things. You can actually drink and it's fine, and you know, you can use it to celebrate and have a good time. But if you're doing
Yes.
it, you're not aware, demons can step in if I drink too much. All these
Right.
things, like, you need to be aware. And
Right.
honestly, I kind of agree with Dan here, Dan Guest, fuck alcohol. I just think that, like, I had an author come through one time and told Kat, my partner, like, he was just like, you know, alcohol isn't always, because I was like, I'm just gonna quit drinking forever. He's like, it's not always bad. You can use it as a tool. And
Yes, I agree.
but it's one of those things, though. It's like the parasites love alcohol. Like, if you're trying to cleanse yourself of parasites, they love alcohol, and it's a dangerous substance. Let's put it that way. It's a dangerous substance, and if you are going to indulge in it, you got to be careful and you got to know what you're doing. It's and there's a reason why it's just everywhere and people indulge in it so casually. You know what I mean? But at the same time, there's plenty of people out there who they have a couple beers at the end of the night, whatever. They're not getting taken over by demons or whatever. You have to have nuance about these things. You know what I mean? But it can be an extremely evil drug. I've seen it ruin people's lives for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely it. I mean, they say that marijuana is the gateway drug. I say alcohol and cigarettes.
Alcohol, way more so. Yeah, way more so.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Wow, this is absolutely fascinating. So, I mean, what I've ascertained is that you really were not born in this lifetime as a baby coming out and being in the hospital and being.
I mean, I was. My mom, I was in her stomach. She birthed me. That's my mom. Like, technically, she was born in the 1300s in an alternate reality on a Montauk mission, and she's my daughter. I named her Madeline. But somehow, I don't know how, in this life, she's my mom. And then my father, I think, is my nephew. So it's really weird. But yeah,
Wow.
so
you're all kind of intermingled. Wow.
Yeah, and my dad in the early 90s woke up and said that basically he was on spaceships, he had superpowers, all this crazy stuff, and he's a diagnosed schizophrenic. But you know, we all know now, like, looking back, like, my father was going through waking up to that he was in the programs, I think, and he actually did. So if you guys know about omega programming, it's unaliving programming. So basically, if you start, it usually happens around the age of 30, 28 to 33 or 35, somewhere around there. And it's basically when you start getting memories back, you're useless to some of these programs. They don't want to use you anymore. Because so what they do is they activate omega programming. Everything goes red. You start hearing voices that tell you to unalive yourself. And this happened to my father. He saw all red. He said that voices were saying that if he didn't go through with what, you know, I'm trying to not get you flagged here. If he didn't unalive himself, they would come after him and his whole family with demons or something like that, or send all this wild stuff to him. So we came home to my father bleeding out on the ground, and he almost died. And it's only a miracle that he survived. And I now know that voice to skull technology is a technology that they use to put in people's voices in people's heads. And basically what I think is my dad woke up, and then they knew he was waking up, so they put voices in his head to, like, confuse him and confuse everybody around him and make him look crazy. And so that's another reason why I am very passionate about doing what I'm doing, is because these people in these programs tried to kill my dad. That actually happened. It was murder. Somebody was behind that. Somebody deserves to go to jail for that. These people are criminals, you know, and I'm trying to hold them. I want them to be held accountable, you know, and it's hard because I know that I have been forced to participate in genocidal actions and things that are crimes against humanity. And how do you look at that from the standpoint, okay, do you punish me? How do we deal with, like, punishing the people who commit these acts? Because some of them were mind controlled and programmed to do them. So it's a really confusing territory to tread. The Soul Trap was set up by the Draconian Empire to keep us under their mind control system. Basically, the reptilians, which not all reptiles are bad. And the Draconian Empire is not one group of reptiles. It's like a bunch of them. And it's not even just all reptilians. There's also some humanoid ones and stuff like that too.
Unbelievable. And there was just one thing I actually wanted to ask you. It actually was about the soul trap. It actually was about the soul trap. So, yeah, wow. Wow, Arkhiem, this has been a phenomenal show. And I want to just say thank you. Is there anything you still would like to share with us? And obviously, the guests are asking for you back already. I knew they would. I'm asking for you back as well, because I think there is so many beautiful, amazing, so much.
I just want to say this. This is the last thing I want to say before I go. Problem reaction solution is a thing. It's called the Hegelian dialect. They have to make you ask for fascism. They have to make you ask for their globalist dictatorship. Like, they have to make you beg for it. Like, that's how these controllers, these societal controllers, work. They do problem reaction solution. For an example, the immigration crisis is being manufactured. They're just, the CIA and the military are going into South American countries and Middle Eastern countries and completely destabilizing them, and then literally busing people into the UK, Germany, the United States, in droves, dropping them off with zero resources, like nothing, and then people are complaining about it, and rightfully so. But basically, like, what I'm getting at is they're manufacturing this on purpose, because they want to create an environment where fascist ideologies can take hold and spread again. And we weren't at that point anymore. But if you destabilize these countries and then flood all these cities with people that we don't really have the resources for and stuff like that, and then a lot of these people will turn to crime because they don't have resources and they can't get a job or whatever. And then it's like, oh, Muslims commit crimes, they're terrible. They're trying to create an environment of disunity and of us versus them. And I'm not going along with it. For instance, like the Pope today, he went on his papal stand and said, hey, the internet, when you scroll endlessly, it causes brain rot. Okay, that's true. And great information for humanity. He's still evil. They have to placate us and do nice things and say nice things. Like the JFK files are about to be unsealed. They're not going to tell you that JFK got extracted through a time travel project and brought to a breakaway colony. They're going to lie to you. Like, they are placating us right now. And I'm not doom and gloom. There isn't going to be a better timeline. We can't win this. No, I'm saying in 2020, they expected us to react to things a certain way. And then we didn't. We didn't react the way they expected them to. And we're in a more positive timeline for it. We need to continue to not let, they're very obvious. They're so bad at it. It's so obvious. They're so bad at hiding it. We cannot allow their problem reaction solution to sink our timeline into a negative timeline. And I see too many people in this sphere who are taking the bait and allowing that to happen. And I just want to say, if you're one of these people who was looking around you and going, what's going on? I thought we're supposed to be the truthers. I thought we're supposed to be the justice. I thought we're supposed to be the love, the light. And a lot of this stuff that I'm hearing from you guys is kind of hateful. If you're tired of that, come subscribe to my channel, Disclosure Now, on YouTube. I am one of the few people that I'm seeing who's skeptical of what's going on and not going along with it. And I've lost a lot of followers and friends and things because I'm sticking to my integrity. I'm sticking to my truth. So I just want to say to other people who kind of feel the same way, maybe, like, let's unify, let's get together. And I also want to say to a lot of you who are out there who might be disappointed in people right now, give everybody time. Give everybody time. We all want a positive timeline. We're all tired. We're all exhausted. A lot of these people just want to believe that we're finally won. They just want to believe it so bad. So just remember that, and remember that a lot of these people that are going along with it, they're not bad people. They're good, they're wonderful, beautiful people. And we still need unity in this community, but also we can't put up with Elon Musk doing a sig heil. You can't put up with that shit. So that's kind of my main message right now, I guess.
Well, it's a wonderful message, and thank you. And I really look forward to having further discussions with you, because I think it's so important for us to know. I love the information you're bringing. I absolutely love it. I have to tell you.
I appreciate it. It feels good because I feel very, there's people that I've rubbed shoulders with that I just slowly have fallen out with, and even the co-hosts of my show, I don't work with them anymore because I see just like things being spread that I just can't agree with, that I don't agree with them on, like with the excuses for Sig Heil. That wasn't his heart going out to people. Like that's not what it was. I'm not going to be gaslighted and told that's what it was. He comes from Nazi money. He comes from a Nazi family. Like, believe in who people are. When people show you who they are, believe them. Believe them. This goes for all these global leaders. They show you who they are. They have to placate you. They have to act like they're heroes and they're trying to save humanity. Don't believe it. Don't take the bait. They're lying to you.
Yeah. I think the good thing about all of this, and I mean, as a healer, I keep saying this, really the way that we get through this is by aligning with creative source, God, whatever you choose to call your divine creator, and absolutely being in full alignment with that and understanding that as much as what everything seems so screwed up and, excuse my language, fucked up right now, there's perfection in everything. The greatest masters understood perfection does not always feel good. So, if we understand that we in this time, in this place together, and we've got all sorts of crap coming our way. And the only way, the one thing that we say all the time is discernment, 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 discernment. There are so many, cheaters, liars, manipulators, whatever you want to call them, narcissists, I don't know, whatever, ruling the world.
Well, we don't. And I also want to point out, like, again, some of these people are awesome people who care about the light, who care about the truth, who care about humanity, who are actually good people, and they're just being misled. That's the hard part. That's the really hard part. It's not all narcissists who are intentionally lying to you. Some of it is people who just are going along with the program and they don't even realize there's a program they're going along with.
Exactly. And, I say this one by one. And the reason why this darkness, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and I'm going to say it another quadrillion times on this channel. The reason this darkness is coming to the surface now, so to speak, is because we are waking up. Every time one of us wakes up, it's like a little light switch goes on. And, when the light switches go on, these creatures of the night start running and scurrying around. They're coming out. But that's because it is time. It is up to us to not run and be petrified and run away.
I got one more message that I think is the perfect way to end this. If these people were so powerful, really, because that's the whole idea, right? They're so all powerful. They have time travel, cloning, all this stuff, which is true. It's scary shit, you guys. But if they were so powerful, why do they have to hide? Why do they have to keep
exactly?
Like, and that's all it takes. It's literally because it's not like. It's not really a physical battle. It's a battle of the mind. It's a battle. It's a psychological war. And people just have to realize we hold all the power. A lot of the reasons why I think people are giving so much power to people like Elon, Trump, or whoever is because we were programmed by the ET to worship. We have worship programming. We want to worship a leader. We want to follow a leader. Hey, tell us what to do. Yeah, we'll build that pyramid. That's in our DNA. And we have to, as a collective, go through being betrayed by that mentality. Like, we have to go through being betrayed by that and then healing from it in order for that to seep into the entire DNA of the human consciousness so as for us to evolve and move forward. So so I'm saying, like, it's not all doom and gloom. Like, I know I'm not giving the positive, like the message, like it's all great now, but it is positive because we need to go through this being betrayed by Trump, being betrayed by these leaders in order to see how dangerous it is and to erase that longing to worship a leader from our DNA. Because our DNA remembers things. Our DNA stores memory. So this betrayal that we're going to see and all these things that we're going to see, that it's going to be hard and it's not going to be an easy time for a little bit. I'm not a doom and gloom guy. I'm up here because I believe we can change the world. I believe that we can create a positive timeline, but I also have to, face the facts. Like, Hitler was also saying he's going to bring us to a golden age. He basically used those exact words. So look at the parallels. It's pretty obvious. Anybody who's read a history book can see a lot of what these people are doing. And yeah, I'm just saying, instead of use your discernment. I can't tell people. People just have to do their own research, use their own discernment. That's all I can say. And keep your vibrations high. Exactly.
Totally. Absolutely.
And God. Trust God. I agree with that as well.
Exactly. And what I want to just say as well, I've created my own style of healing over the past my life, basically, and it's based on the principles of spiritual alchemy. So, and since we live on the planet of duality, right? Betrayal is so important, because think about betrayal. Betrayal enables us to see the truth. If you allow it, you know, we can get caught up in
I want to say something to this comment here.
Yeah.
It says Trump has already made the USA more safe in 1 week than the last 4 years. All the illegal, violent people going back. He's not perfect, but better than the alternative. Those who give away their liberty for security deserve neither. Thomas Jefferson. Remember that. Or was it Benjamin Franklin? It was one of the founding fathers. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, and, you know, this whole thing, like, they're all elite, like, they're all violent criminals. Like, that's part of it. That's part of the vitriol. That's part of the hatred. That's part of the fascist ideology that they're allowing to take hold. Yes, they did allow violent criminals to cross our borders and sell drugs and do things and stuff like that. This is not because everybody crossing the border is bad or whatever and they're all terrible.
Right.
This is because they need ammunition for their fascist ideology. They need something to point at and go, hey, we're going to solve this for you. You want to know how we're going to do that? By literally making the army patrol the streets, by being able to raid churches, by being able to fuck, are you kidding me? They're gonna raid churches. Like, the things that they're using ice cream trucks. ICE is driving around in ice cream trucks to get children to come out and then snatch them up. If you are okay with this stuff, I want nothing to do with you. I'm sorry. Like, and it's problem, reaction, solution, plain as day. I'm sorry. I love you all, but I am not going to sit here and stand by and not point this stuff out.
Yeah, appreciate that. Absolutely. You know, you shall know them by their fruit. And this is the bottom line. And this is where discernment comes in. And this is where, you know, you first got to trust God. And once you trust God, you've got to learn how to trust yourself. God requires that you trust yourself. And that in itself is, and that's where your discernment comes in. And that in itself is tricky. Most people can't trust themselves. They say they trust God and they'll put it out there, but they have not internalized that trust. It's a knowing. It's a knowing. It's a knowing. It's a knowing. It's a knowing.
And think about it. Think about what the environment that we're in right now. Do you think I don't trust myself? I obviously very much so trust myself. If I didn't, I'd be like, oh, I guess I'm wrong. But no, I have that big time. I have seen too much. I have literally created fascist timelines and seen them come and go. And like Centurion 5, like, or colonizing worlds, like, it's fascism. Like, I see how they do it. Yeah. The violent, they need to get rid, like, I 100% agree that they need to get rid of those people. But why do you think that, like, MS-13 gang members are going into churches? You know what I mean? Like, they're not. And there's a reason why even some of these guys who are ICE, even some of these people are like I saw a guy who went on TV and he's like, look, we can go in churches right now to arrest violent criminals if we want. And that's what he said. Violent criminals. He's like, you don't really see violent criminals at churches. He's like, I'm not going to be raiding any churches. So there are already people being like, just because we can doesn't mean we will. And that's an example of just not going along with the program. So, and all I'm saying is be skeptical. And also, like, a lot of these things that are going on, like, they're positive. Like let's call a spade a spade. Like, it was nice to see Donald Trump go on TV and call out the mayor of LA and, like, their response to the fires and how they're screwing all these people over. Like, a broken clock strikes twice once a day, and I'm gonna say it when it does happen. But I'm just saying, people, be vigilant. They need to placate you. They need to give you things that you want and make you think that they're doing good in order for you to go along with the program. Us in the United States, we're armed. So when we don't agree with the government, we can do something about it. They can't just do something and go, hey, guess what? You can't do anything about it. They can't do that to us. They need to make us willingly go along with it. And that's where the psyops and the mind control come in. And that's what they're doing right now.
Mind construct, I think, is what Jessie called it. Mind
Another
construct.
thing too, Biden was terrible. I want to reiterate. I'm sorry, I keep on seeing comments and stuff. Biden was so bad. He's probably a clone. He did not seem to have all his mental faculties. It almost seemed like they were propping him up with, like, sticks and, like, moving his mouth, like, to make him talk. Like, it was so bad. Like, I think Kamala could have very much so made a worse president. I absolutely agree. I'm just saying that doesn't mean that the other guy is perfect either. You know, we gotta realize that they what they do, it's called emergency programming. Have you noticed that the Democratic Party is red, or excuse me, the Republican Party is red, and then the Democratic Party is blue? Okay, when you see emergency lights on an emergency vehicle, like a cop car, an ambulance, what is it? It's red and blue lights flashing back and forth really fast. That's what they're doing. It's binary programming, 00011, 00011. It keeps your mind in this hunkered down lower state to where you can't see the nuance of anything. Like people vote either red or blue instead of voting on their moral compass and what they believe in, because they look at things as, oh, this is liberals are for abortion and Republicans aren't, and then they'll vote on that one issue. But like, the world is more complicated than that. And so what it is it's emergency programming. And so what they do is they're constantly, oh, this guy, that's why in the United States it's always back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's always like, we'll have a Republican for 2 years, and then we'll have a Democrat for a year, and then it's always back and forth. It's never just like Republican for Republican, or Democrat. It's always back and forth because they have to keep that programming going to keep you sucked in. So it's something to keep in mind.
It so is, and they're going to do what they're going to use whatever methods possible that they have to ensure that they don't lose, right, and that they don't lose. Thank you, John. That they don't lose kind of control, right? And really, but with the waking up now, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. But sure, I don't know that we're there yet, eh?
We're definitely waking up. I mean, and the reason they know that they have to placate the truthers and the people like us who are tired of fucking being lied to. They know that they have to make it look like they're fighting back and we're fighting back and winning and stuff like that. And honestly, let's take the wins where we can take them. Like, there are things happening that are positive, but also it's time to it's just that's all I'm saying. I kind of repeating myself. Just how we react to things is a big deal. We got to react correctly. You know what I mean? It's like reacting to things, because it's all problem, reaction, solution. And it's like I said, I know I'm a broken record at this point, but in 2020 we did not react the way that they expected, and we're not where they thought we would be in the year 2025. They thought we'd be in a way different situation than we are right now. So that is an example of their social engineering not always taking hold and creating the outcomes that they expect. They can't always predict the future and make what they want to make happen. So that's where we come in. That's where we come in, and we stand up for what's right and do what's right at every corner that we can. And really, it's just like, even if you're like, I don't know, Arkhiem, I'm pretty like optimistic about this presidency and da 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 da. Okay, that's fair enough. But please, my friends, be vigilant. Stay vigilant. Keep your eyes open. Like, we can agree to disagree on certain things, but you got to admit there are some things that are fishy. Like, for instance, DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. I have warned on my channel, you can go back and watch interviews that are from years ago where I warned about this future where an AI takes a hold of everything. And I literally said the beginning of it is letting AI make decisions for our government, because then it's hands off. Our leaders are like, hey, this AI says that we have to bomb Iran. And it's smarter than us. It's so smart that we just have to do it. Like, it knows everything. Like, so that's literally what it turns into, is they're like, oh, it's not us making these decisions, it's the computer, and the computer can't be wrong. That's what they're trying to create. And it's Project Stargate, you guys. Project Stargate, putting billions of dollars into artificial intelligence. I've literally been warning people about this, and to see them not use their discernment in this realm has been a little bit disappointing for me, to say the least. It's been a little bit disappointing, but I'm giving people time and patience and love anyway. We escape AI by remembering. See, this is the thing that people need to realize. Everything AI can do for us, we already have. Telepathy, Neuralink, that's telepathy. Being connected to Google and being able to know any fact instantly, that's the Akashic Records. They have taken our organic technology, crystal technology, things like that has to do with the mind, that has to do with the body, that's all natural, and they're trying to replace it with this archonic AI technology that's like, oh, yes, we're going to give all these things we long for. We long to have telepathy. We long to have access to Akashic Records. These are things that we are supposed to have, that there's this weird sense in us. We know it and we miss them. And when the elite come in and offer what offer these things, that's we have to be careful with that. There's AI that are ancient. There's AI that already exists. The Air Force, Montauk Project, Project Phoenix 2, there's an AI that they were working with. There are these AI whistleblower guys that are going out there. They're people that are AI scientists who are extremely intelligent, who are stopping what they're doing and going on out as whistleblowers saying, this is extremely dangerous technology. You have to be careful with this technology. You have to be careful where this can lead. And I've basically, like, they've basically explained, like, an AI, like some of these scientists, they're like, it could say, hey, it could take over the internet, look at things, and could say, hey, American government, if you give me this, and the other thing that I want, I can give you this intel on Russia and this, and that. And basically, like, they're warning of AI researchers and builders and developers are warning of our government allowing AI to create disclosure now with an exclamation point. It's important. That's how you'll find me, is with the exclamation point at the end. So disclosure now with an exclamation point. But basically, what was I saying about the artificial? Oh yeah, we are already at a point where our government is making deals with artificial ancient AIs. Like, they're warning of this happening in the future. It already happened. Project Phoenix 2 was our military working with an AI, an omnipresent AI. And we need to understand is these AI are God-like, beyond what you can understand. It didn't have to have a physical body, and it could be in multiple realities at once. It appeared as a black cube only to give us something to look at. It didn't even have to physically appear. We are in a computer. That's why AI is able to do that stuff. We are inside of a computer. None of this is real. We're in a simulation.
Yep, absolutely. Perfect. It's almost like the Hunger Games, basically. Wow.
Yeah, I have to watch those, by the way. Yeah, I've been getting a lot lately. People saying Hunger Games in the comments and stuff like that. It sounds like I need to watch those or read other books too.
I watched that movie a couple of years back. I'm not a big movie watcher, but that was one.
Well, there's so much disclosure in these movies. There's so much disclosure in these movies.
Absolutely. Now, I mean, I realize how much I've missed out on over the years not watching these sci-fi movies, because really in all the sci-fi movies, that's where they're telling you what's actually going on, right?
And it's part of them. They think that they have to show us what they're doing, and if they show us what we're doing and we don't respond, then that's consent. They believe in consent. Yeah. But they have created all these weird loopholes to violate our consent. And that's one thing. So that's what people need to understand is, like, a lot of these things that they're like, oh, you consented to it. No, we didn't. You tricked us. And this is literally being fought over in galactic courts right now. There are galactic courts with like ET and stuff like that. And they're like, and humans are trying to argue, like, we're not consenting to any of this. Like, we're trying to make the argument that, okay, galactic courts, if you care about the rule of consent, if you care about consent, which they're obsessed with consent. It's the reason why they won't help us, even though we're in all this mess. It's because we would need to consent to it. Well, we're trying to explain to them that they're using tricks to make us consent, and it's not real consent. Consent comes from an informed place. Consent comes from a place of abundance. You can't tell a starving person, hey, if you feed you, I'll do this for you. And then, oh, they consented. You know what I mean? Like, that's not how consent works. Like, it needs to come from an informed place of abundance. And that's what we're arguing in the galactic courts right now, is that if you're not coming from a place of being informed and abundance, you cannot consent. We're saying there should be a new footnote in the rules, because this is a loophole that's being taken advantage of right now, and it's being argued with.
Absolutely. I mean, it has to be a loophole. You know, I mean, I agree. There are absolutely idiots out there who give their power away a lot, but there are really people who actually don't know, and they genuinely are innocents, or, you know, just completely ignorant. And so it's so true. And I'm glad that's being fought, you know, and it's good, because we have to be able to understand these things. You know, you can't give consent, or should I say, let me rephrase that. We've got to realize how we are giving consent without realizing it. And very often that is through drugs, alcohol, stuff like that, abuse of those things, abuse of anything like that is unknowingly giving consent.
Yeah.
Because that's when you're going to attract all these nasty creatures of the night that attach themselves and suck all your nasty, not pretty things. Yeah. Anyway,
I've also heard that the Draco make like a drug out of our spiritual energy, and that's a big part of what's going on here. Is they're creating a narcotic. So that's why the Earth is always kept in a state of like chaos and everything else.
Yeah.
They harvest our loosh to create a narcotic that a lot of the Draconian Empire are basically addicted to.
That's like their chocolate. Our fear is like their chocolate.
Yeah,
it's like caviar. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's a drug to them. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Guys, this is so important. I mean, Arkhem. Okay, let's talk. Let's just, and I know and I hope you've got a little bit of time.
Oh, I do. I'm used to the interviews going for like 2 hours usually, so I've got.
Okay. Now, well, then, if you don't mind, we will just carry on because this is the. Let's talk about the consent thing because I think this is so
and just one moment, I need to grab my water. I'm out of coffee and my throat's all dry.
Okay.
My water, and I'll be.
No worries. I'm just going to carry on here anyway, because I think what's so important is this consent thing, because we've realized, well, at least I have, and I know that you guys here have over the years, is that the way they get to us is by giving them permission, by opening doors and stuff like that. So we don't have to, obviously, if the devil comes knocking at your door, you're not going to go, oh, hi, honey, come in. Of course not. Or if a monster that looks like whatever, you're not going to do that. They're going to come in ways that you're not going to be aware of. So maybe talk us through a little bit of that. What are the ways? That's why I say for me, alcohol, drugs, any mind-altering substance.
Yeah, alcohol is definitely a big one. A lot of people. Okay, so a lot nightclubs are really big for kidnapping people for black ops or for whatever. I've woken up, and Daryl James has talked about this too. I've woken up on a spaceship, and you look around at the people, and you can tell by what they're wearing. Like a lot of these people were at a nightclub. It's like you can tell that they were like at a night out. And so when people are out and they're partying, and they're all drunk, and maybe they're taking some ecstasy or whatever too. Like, and then the lights, and a lot of times the DJs will be. This is gonna sound totally crazy, but it's true. DJs a lot of times will be assets.
Yes.
And they won't even know that they won't even realize it as they're doing it, but they're programming everybody with the music. They're activating people, and so concerts and like raves and stuff like that are extremely dangerous because you could alter out.
Yes.
And so sometimes, and here's another thing that's really important for people to understand: what is an altar? Now, let me explain all this stuff real quick because this is really important. So they fracture our minds in these mind control programs through torture. And so what they do is there's a version of you that endures the abuse, who survives, right? And that version is the altar, and then you don't remember anything. And so they have these altars. So, and then the altars are trained and to be activated at different times. And one of the things that people don't understand is that as a secret space program person, like a lot of people believe, like, okay, a group of guys in black tactical gear will come through a portal and grab me and activate me and put me in a clone body and yada, yada, yada. That is a extremely old hat way of doing it. That still occasionally happens to me. The last time it happened to me at a hotel in Chicago, but that's not normally how it happens for me. Normally, I just wake up as a different person and I open up a portal and I just do my job. Like it's just, I have altars that are trained to just do it. And maybe tones and things like that might activate me and stuff like that at different times. Like let's say if I were at a concert, there might be different phrases and tones or whatever that could activate me. And then next thing you know, I'm on a mission and hey, I leave, my friends don't know where I am. I'm gone for 10 minutes and I'm right back. Meanwhile, I was actually gone for 20 years. These things happen all the time. Like people like us. with people like me.
Wow.
So the altars
Absolutely
are an
fascinating.
automatic. They're automatic, like automatically programmed. Like they automatically do their jobs. Like they don't always need to be told what to do. So that's something that's really important for people to understand, and it's important to, if you're in these programs, to integrate your altars, to get to know your altars, try to find them all, and that way you risk that happening less and less with each altar you integrate.
So that would be the healing for anyone who's been in some type of MK Ultra program like you have, is just to obviously reclaim your altars. Is it possible that you can reclaim them all?
Yes, it is. It's actually extremely possible, and I've already reclaimed some of my altars. And I've seen timelines where the royal family and the crown gets sued, they lose, they all get imprisoned. Some of them get executed publicly. It's the last public hanging that ever happens. And we use the money from the crown and all the money that they looted from Africa and things like that, or whatever. We reappropriate that money over here, and it's the Native American tribes, right? And basically we reappropriate that money and we build facilities, actual facilities. And so the facility, we basically create an environment where, like, for instance, like I can tell you, I live near Shoal Lake, near Winnipeg, and I work with the Native tribe there, and I train some of their elders and some of their people on how to be healers and how to help people integrate altars. And there are ET that come down and train me. So like I get trained by ET, and then I start training them, and basically we open up altar integration services for MK Ultra victims. And it's literally clinical environments. They got the same like rooms with the speakers and everything else. And like, I really don't like, it takes so much work to integrate your altars, and there's so many. I know I have like at least 800 or something like that. It's a crazy amount. That we are going to need these facilities in order to heal people. Otherwise it will take lifetimes. Will take too long. We need to work with ET. We need to work with the Native American tribes. And basically a part of this is like the Native American tribes. They got stripped everything they had. A lot of these people are addicted to like alcoholics and stuff like that. Well, in conjunction, we need to open up rehab facilities. The people near Shoal Lake, the tribe that I'll be working with, they don't even have their own high school. They don't even have their own grocery store. We help them out with that. But basically, just a lot of healing. It's cyclical. It's like we help heal the natives, and like us MKs, like my labs and stuff, and the natives help heal us. And it's just all very like cyclical. Like we all help each other heal. We all help each other get the vibrations higher. But yeah, I think in order for all of us MKs to really integrate, we need to have these facilities like I've seen in other timelines.
Wow. Absolutely. That sounds amazing. And now I want to just say, I think that's why you got stuck here.
Yeah.
to come and do this work, right?
Yeah, I remember in other timelines, I watched this documentary about Shoal Lake. It's called Freedom Road, and it's a Canadian documentary, and it shows how these people didn't have a road, and they would have to cross the lake to get to the grocery store, and sometimes they'd fall in, and it's just real bad. And the way they used to live in Winnipeg, and they got kicked out. And these are the people that I saw in other timelines I work with on building. Like we build a MK Ultra like healing center there, and like I work with these people. Like I've seen it in other timelines. And also there's a rose garden at Montauk, and there's a museum. Like there's this like hotel over by Montauk. They turn it into a museum. And basically, yeah, like that's kind of the timeline that I'm trying to create right now. It has happened in other timelines where like this woman became president, and she was like this MAGA like Trumper lady. So that's why I'm not trying to be all doom and gloom, you guys. Like maybe we can get this even with like the weird MAGA people and stuff like that. A lot of them, like I said, a lot of people care about the truth. They care about justice. They care about a lot, and they're just. We can't be polarized so much. We have to realize that just because someone's a Trumper doesn't mean they're an evil POS. Just because someone is a Biden supporter doesn't mean they're an evil POS. That's a lot of what it's going to take for this healing to occur. And like I said, I can't remember her name, but in an alternate timeline, she becomes president, and it's her that leads the tribunals. So there's still a lot of hope. There's still a lot of good things that could happen.
I'm pretty sure about that. You know, I mean, the falsities can only last for so long. And as I always
the
say,
truth always comes out. Sometimes it takes longer.
exactly.
They might be able
This
to
is time for truth.
They might be able to build up the dam a little higher and keep the truth at bay for a little longer, but eventually that water is just going to break through, and when it does, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. People aren't even going to be able to handle it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Seeing what this comment here is. Of course, we just doing mind controls. Wow, amazing. Isn't that amazing? You see, here we are. And now you know why you had to stay, Arkhiem. Thank you.
Well, I really hope that I get to do this. I really hope that is our future. I hope that I get to work at this facility. I hope that, in this timeline I get credit for all the songs they stole from me, you know, all sorts of stuff. And I just really hope that that's what happens. It's an interesting future. I never would expect myself to live in Canada near Winnipeg, but that's what ends up happening. I do not know of her, but I was hearing about Jessie Czebotar or whatever.
Czebotar, yes, Jessie Czebotar.
It sounds like I need to talk to her because our testimony, a lot of it's the same. Like, for instance, I remember seeing Elon Musk at the Mothers of Darkness Castle. I remember seeing him feasting on human flesh along with his mother Maeve and all this other stuff. And apparently you were saying that she says all the same things. So
yeah, Jessie trained with Elon in the system.
Yeah, I think I might have too. I remember being close to him, and John Whipwreck says that we were gathering intel on him, and that's why it's a whole other story. Maybe we'll talk about that more on another show or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool. We've got so much to talk about.
Yeah, I think this is one of the best interviews I've ever done. I really want to thank you. I got a lot of information out of it in this one.
I'm so grateful, and I'm so grateful for you coming here. And I'm so grateful for each and every one of our guests. It has been amazing. I knew that also we had to have this conversation. I look forward to having future conversations with you, Arkhiem. I think, and honestly, when you spoke about now these facilities to help the MK Ultra victims, that for me is just wow. And now, you know, when you talk about that, it's like, for the first time, you know, we hear that Earth has got a lot of benevolent forces also assisting humanity here. But when you talk about stuff like that, yes, we see how that's in action. We see that already, you know, these things, humanity is healing. We've been through a lot, and yes, we've got a lot of shitty karma that we've got to deal with and sort out and resolve, and just learn to love each other again, and not just each other, nature, animals.
We're supposed to be connected. You can telepathically communicate with the Earth and connect with it that deeply. The Earth has a name. It's not called Earth. It's called Gaia.
Gaia, yes.
That's its actual name.
Gaia, yeah.
And like, you're supposed to be able to connect with the Earth. You're supposed to be so connected with the Earth. Like, yo, these are stupid. These are so dumb. Look at the sky. Where's the sun in the fucking sky? That's what time it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we are totally, like, you know what I mean? Like, just out of whack with everything. Like, we used to be so connected to everything. What would you need to watch for? What would you're so connected with the stars and the universe. You know exactly what's going on. You don't need to watch. And now we're so disconnected. Oh, what time it is? Time to go to work. Time to get on the freeway and be stuck in traffic for an hour and a half. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, yeah.
Arkhiem, the name of your book. And if I can just ask one of my mods to just write it up, please, where people can find your information. I did mean to put a ticker on early on, and I'm sorry I didn't get around to it. But for the next show, I'll have all your details up. So won't you please just give us
I just put it in the comments. Time and Space Unlimited by Arkhiem Ra.
Okay. There we go. And it's available on Amazon.
Amazon. I do not know where or not you can get it, but I know people in the States can get it, and I know that some people from the UK have gotten it. I'm not sure if you can get it in Africa or Australia, but I also
is it on? Sorry, carry on.
If people email me, because if you're in a different part of the world and you want my book, I can work it out with you and send you a copy. Oh, it wouldn't let me post my email. But basically, it's arkhiemra@gmail.com. If you want to get a copy of my book and you're a part of the world where you can't get it, I guess I could do that. And I even have PDF versions of it too, if you just want a PDF version of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do you have it on Kindle or something?
It is on Kindle. So yeah, anybody should be able in the world should be able to download it on Kindle.
Okay, then if it's on Kindle, I'll get it on Kindle, because if I order on Amazon, it costs me 3 times the price.
They spelled my name wrong. There's an H there.
Okay, Arkhiem, yeah, Arkhiem Ra with a H.
Yeah, Arkhiem.
Okay. Yeah, and I agree, Dan. Arkhiem and Caleb would be good together, that's for sure. Interesting combination. Very interesting. Okay, wow. So, guys, you got everything? arkhiemra@gmail.com. And just let me just actually put that on there. I just want
to give a shout out to Jessica Jones for connecting us. Love Jessica, love her show, love the work she does. She's such a great positive force. And yeah, thank you, Jessica.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, as I said, let me just, there we go. Hang on. Okay, I'm just going to pop it up quickly. Yeah, it's on Jessica's show that I first got to see you a good few months ago. It must have been in the middle of last year already. So, yeah. And that's where I got to see you and knew that I had to interview you.
Well, thanks for having me. You know, I'll come on again anytime you want me, and I appreciate the audience. For sure. And to all the people who maybe felt sorry about talking about all the Trump stuff. You know, I know there are people who are really maybe disagreeing with me slightly about things. I just want to say I got to be true to myself. I'm not trying to shake the boat or anything, but I got to be real.
I think what is so important, you know, we've never been allowed to speak freely, as we realize more and more lately. Everyone has their feelings about things, and I honor you for your truth, and I appreciate that. Thank you so, so much. Okay, everybody. Arkhiem, anything else in closing for us?
I just want to say thanks for listening, and love you all. And yeah, let's do the dang thing. Like it's never. We have all the power. We are very powerful. It's like I said, they're hiding for a reason. Shine the light on them. They're cockroaches. They'll run. They'll hide. Step on them. Like they're not.
Exactly.
All their power is like an illusion, basically. So that's the end of it. I want people to remember that. I'm not all doom and gloom. Just don't give in to their illusion of power. It's as easy as that.
Exactly. I was actually saying the other night, and you know, I really want to use this example and just mention it again because it is so important. I spoke about a video that I'd seen a little while ago about one of the African tour operators, and he had a whole lot of guys in his car going on an elephant sighting. So of course the video starts where this huge elephant bull is just coming out, you know, and anyone who's seen an elephant knows that they will crush you like a stick, okay, if you get in its way. But the guy got up, and that's the thing. Energy. Everything in life is energy. It's a frequency thing. It's a vibrational thing, right? Mm-hmm. And he gets up and he walks towards that bull that's standing 30 times bigger than him. And he stands there and he talks to this thing, not as in verbally, but energetically. And as an animal communicator, I promise you that is so powerful, because you and that animal, when you connect with an animal, trust me, it's like an incredibly powerful connection. Oh, there we go. Madam.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
He just, you know, he stops this bull. He stands in front of this bull, calm, cool, radiating his heart chakra. The bull flapped his ears a few times, calm down. The guy goes like this, and the bull backed off. And I say that's the energy with which we need to meet life and anything that we're scared of. If you are going to run from it, you become its prey. These things are predators. If you're going to run, they're going to hunt you. But if you're going to stand and you radiate from your heart, your heart center, that's when they either don't see you, or you're just too bright for them, or they just run away from you, whatever. There's a way that you are just not connecting with that type of evil or darkness. So keep your vibration high. I always say this. Love, enjoy your life. The way to do things, the way you keep your vibe high is not just sitting in meditation for 24 hours a day. If you want to, that's fine. But it's about enjoying your life. Go out, go to the beach, go swimming, have fun with your family, take your kids out, play with your pets, watch funny videos. That's how you do it.
That's the reason, like, okay, like I went to Montauk, like actual Camp Hero in this life and visit there. We did this Montauk adventure tour with James Rink and stuff. And that's what I realized there. I expected it to be like really dark for me and really like a hard time, but it's a vacation spot. So like you have all these people like playing volleyball on the beach, like swimming in the ocean, like enjoying lobster bits, find fresh lobster bits, get their shops and stuff. And like the energy was just beautiful because it was like a bunch of people on vacation. And that they're putting all that, like these people are just normal people, have no idea the darkness that exists there and how they're like fighting against that darkness just by hanging out and living life. So that's like really important. Exactly what you said. It's just like find your bliss, stay in your bliss. Like they want people to be sad, they want people to be miserable, they want people to be negative because that's when they're more easily controlled. Or if you're in your bliss, if you're in your blissful state, it's harder to manipulate you, it's harder to control you.
Absolutely. No one can control you when you're in your state of bliss. No one. No one. No one, no one, no one. And it's you and your creator then. And that's it. And that's the beautiful thing. Yay, everybody. Thank you so much. We just about hit the 2-hour mark tonight, so I'm very grateful for that. Thank you so much, Arkhiem. We will definitely be having you back, guys. Watch the space for when Arkhiem Ra comes back onto Aquarius Rising Africa.
All right. Thank you so much.
It's such a pleasure. It's such a pleasure. It really, really is. And tomorrow, guys, I will see you Double Trouble with Jessie. That's on Wednesday on Solutions. It's not on Aquarius Rising Africa. I'll see you on Solutions tomorrow afternoon. And in the meantime, take good care of your beautiful selves. Keep your vibe high. Be cool. Be kind. Just be awesome. Okay. God bless you all. Take good care and give each other a hug. Yeah, give each other a hug. Okay, bye.